All right, welcome to the show, y'all. Welcome, welcome. And all I have to say is, yummy in my tummy. What a night last night. Incredible stuff. Massive Democratic primary victories. The Democratic Tea Party is officially in full swing. It's in full effect. There's no denying it at this point. Even the enemies of the Democratic Tea Party have to acknowledge it's on like Donkey Kong. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. We have the Democratic Party officially becoming Zohran Mamdani's party. He is now the kingmaker. We also have Trump's worst nightmare coming true as the polls for him turn absolutely apocalyptic. We are so close to just rock bottom, like as low as one can go. We also have Elon Musk panicking as Khanna humiliates him over and over and calls him out to his face over the millions of people he's having killed because of his U.S. aid cuts. Tucker Carlson proves once and for all that he's a total fraud. I cannot wait to show you those clips. And then also, massive victory here, big deal, because Democrats voted to end the Iran war officially. A massive Trump rebuke, and it's going to trigger like a whole court case. And I honestly think there's a decent chance that we end up winning this court case. But you have Congress finally standing up to Trump and slapping him down and saying no more of this illegal, insane war of aggression. So we'll talk about all that and more. You guys know the drill, man. Everybody do me a big favor. Subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. That helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. You can also support the show on Patreon. Remember, I only ask because this is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser, never done an ad read, never will. I'm very proud of that fact, but you guys make it possible by giving $2 a month or $5 a month. You can also sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack, a link below. And of course, go subscribe to Corin's World and come hang out with us over there on Monday nights. All right, y'all. We got to talk about it. So look at this. New House Democrats reeling from New York primary results. One called it an earthquake and a huge defeat for leadership. Quote, "It was a tough night," Representative Meeks, Queens Democratic Party chair, told Axios. Senior House Democrat asked if members are worried, said, quote, "Yes, they are." The Democratic Tea Party is on like Donkey Kong, and the reason this is happening is because the American people looked at Democratic leadership and they saw them routinely losing to Trump and being weak and being feckless and not being organized and getting railroaded by the fascists. And so finally, they stood up and said, "Can I get a fighter or two, please? Can I get a fighter or two? Can I get people who actually believe in something?" And boom, here we are. Now, of course, Israel played a huge role in this. There's a bunch of issues that are sort of top of mind when it comes to these victories. But let's take a look at this Axios article real quick. So they say, socialist earthquake leaves Democrats reeling. I love this picture, by the way. They used of Zohran and Brad Lander laughing. Brad Lander, of course, was one of the winners. Daria Liza was one of the winners. Claire Valdez was one of the winners. Basically, it was a clean sweep for the Zohran candidates, okay? And look, some of these candidates are so based that you genuinely and sincerely had AOC and Bernie Sanders were too skittish to endorse. Even Khanna was too skittish to endorse. But Zohran was like, fuck it. I have this political capital. Why not spend it? Let me get some real ones in Congress. All right, so here we go. House Democrats were left stunned on Tuesday night after two of their colleagues, including the chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, lost primaries to left-wing challengers. Now, that's Espaillat that they're talking about. I believe he's been in office since 1992 when I was 4 years old. Okay? He also ran a dirty campaign. So that came back to bite him in the ass. They say New York primary results are poised to double the number of Democratic Socialists of America members in Congress, something that is not sitting well with some moderates. I use that term loosely, by the way. Really diet MAGA Democrats. Quote, "People who do not support the DSA wring their hands at cocktail parties while the DSA is organizing," Representative Tom Suozzi, a diet MAGA Democrat, the co-chair of the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus, told Axios. I love these Orwellian names that the diet MAGA Democrats use. We are the Problem Solvers Caucus. And by problem solvers, I mean, I like tax cuts for the rich and corporations, and I support Israel. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's not moderate, and that's not problem solving. That's actually part of the problem. They say another centrist House Democrat, speaking on the condition of anonymity to offer candid analysis, called the results an earthquake and a huge defeat for Dem leadership. It was a tough night, said Representative Greg Meeks, a close ally of leadership and the chair of the Queens County Democratic Party. Representative Dan Goldman lost re-election in a landslide to progressive former New York City Comptroller Brad Lander, who led by more than 30 percentage points as of late Tuesday night. We've never seen anything like this, where an incumbent gets blown out by 30 points. An incumbent. Typically, incumbents have all the power. But in this instance, Brad Lander blew him out. And by the way, the big reason for this was the issue of Israel. Dan Goldman is reliably on the left on most issues. One issue where he's not at all, and he's basically a fascist, is Israel. And voters said, how about you go fuck yourself? We're not playing this game anymore. They say Representative Espaillat, the Hispanic caucus chair, lost his primary more narrowly to Democratic Socialist Daria Avila Chevalier, according to the Associated Press. Now, that was the toughest race, and we still pulled it off. In the race to succeed retiring Representative Nydia Velázquez, Democratic Socialist State Assembly member Claire Valdez won a comfortable double-digit victory over Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso. Lander, Chevalier, and Valdez were all backed by New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, while House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries endorsed Espaillat and Goldman. So this is how you know it's the Tea Party moment, is you literally have the leader of the Democrats in the House endorsed the people who were already in the caucus. Doesn't matter. They got their cheeks clapped anyway, y'all. They got their cheeks clapped anyway. That's a big deal, man. That's a big deal. Jeffries also hinted at a preference for Reynoso on Tuesday afternoon, telling reporters that Brooklyn Borough President was backed by a coalition of very progressive Democrats, many of the unions that we've worked closely with. He also noted pointedly that it is the most gentrified district in the nation by far, a nod to moderate complaints that DSAers are propped up by young, white, well-educated transplants. All right, let me pause here to point out, this is our first line of cope. Oh, it wasn't actually the people of color in these districts that voted for the DSA candidates. It's all of the, wealthy, educated, white gentrifiers. Please. What you're going to see is the data will 100% prove that wrong. No, these candidates were popular across the board with every demographic of Democratic voter, period. But this is their first line of cope, is like this subtle hint that, oh, this isn't the true position of the people of color. The people of color actually want diet MAGA politics. They don't want real left-wing politics. They don't want a left-wing Tea Party. Fuck you, they absolutely positively do. Quote, the progressive energy is clearly very high, said Representative Pramila Jayapal. She added, clearly Mayor Mamdani's endorsement and turnout machine really does matter as candidates who are willing to stand up to APAC, as do candidates who are willing to stand up to APAC. The progressives beat the establishment in the heart of New York City, said Khanna. The energy of our party is clearly with the left. Suozzi said it's time for the Democrats' moderate wing to wake up to the threat posed to them by the Democratic Socialists. Quote, economic insecurity, climate change, and immigrant injustice are all real problems, and alternative solutions must be offered. It's time for a great deal of hard work to out-organize the extremists on the right and the left. Here's the problem, buddy. And he goes on to say one version or another of, we got to take the gloves off against these people. Good luck. You're going to lose faster, and you're going to lose by more points if you take the gloves off against the Democratic Tea Party wing, because all you're going to do is out yourself as Diet MAGA, and all your voters are going to hate you more. In fact, some of the people who still voted for these Democrats were voting for them under the delusion that they were the more progressive option, right? As soon as you remove any doubt of that whatsoever, good luck-ski, right? It's like what Mallory McMorrow did in Michigan against Abdul El Sayed when she came out and started hitting him from his right. It didn't work. It backfired massively, and Abdul El Sayed built a nice lead. So good luck with that. Good luck with that, okay? The centrist House Democrat who spoke anonymously said the results showed that appeasement doesn't work. You have to be tough. Nancy Pelosi brought a machine gun to a knife fight. You can't win with these guys by playing patty cake. Again, different time, different era. That's back in the day when Democratic voters trusted Democratic leadership. Now Democratic voters have seen Democratic leadership get railroaded by Trump over and over and over, and they're ready for a different kind of politics. They're ready for a more radical politics. They're ready for actual fighters. They're ready to break up our relationship with Israel and tax the billionaires and lock up the MAGA criminals. Nothing you can do is going to put that genie back in the bottle. A senior House Democrat asked if their colleagues were worried about the results, said, quote, yes, they are. So you know what? All of you line up and kiss Zohran Mamdani's ass and start saying the things all your voters actually believe. that Israel can go fuck itself. We got to tax the billionaires. We got to lock up the MAGA criminals. We got to do universal health care. Everybody should have a right to join a union. Start saying those things. While Goldman's loss was widely expected, quote, I feel terrible about Dan, but everyone predicted that one, said the senior House Democrat. Espaillat's race blindsided some members. Espaillat sounded very confident before the results came in on Tuesday night, another House Democrat told Axios, adding that the low turnout led many to think Adriano would be okay. Turns out he wasn't. By the end of the night, however, there was lots of silence in the Congressional Hispanic Caucus text chain. What party leadership is looking to dust itself off and move on, with a source close to the Jeffries operation telling Axios he is laser focused on winning back the House in November. Establishment Democrats look to the primary victories of centrists like Kate Conley in the New York City suburbs and former Representative Ben McAdams in Utah as the silver linings of the night. I love how now they're at the point where like we're winning like 90%, they're winning 10%, and they're going, 10% sure was nice, though, huh? That's how rough it's looking for them. The centrist House Democrat who spoke anonymously predicted the sudden influx of Democratic socialists will be a, quote, migraine for leadership come 2027. In other words, they're going to hold Democratic leadership accountable and make sure they're not diet MAGA. Make sure they're not helping the far right. Quote, calling it a headache is an understatement, the lawmaker said. Holy shit, said a second senior House Democrat. Buckle up. Oh, my days, y'all. Oh, my days. Okay, ready? Taniel says the following. Across New York and Maryland, I'm counting 12 Democratic incumbents who lost, or in one case are trailing, to a challenger to their left. 2 Congress members, 4 state senators, 6 state House members. Holy cow. It's happening. Here we go. At Claire Valdez's victory party. Okay? Listen to what they were chanting upon the victory. This is literally one of the biggest issues, if not the biggest issue, that led to a lot of these upsets, okay? Especially when you look at Goldman and Lander. Goldman is reliably to the left on most things. The one issue where he's a fascist is Israel. Far right on Israel. Supports the terror ethno-state. Leans into that. Well, how'd that work out for you? Didn't work out so well, now did it? How about this one? Kalshi at the beginning of the night yesterday, or the beginning of the day yesterday, I guess I should say, said 22% chance that all Mamdani-endorsed candidates win tonight. 22% chance. How'd that go? Let me know how that went. Mahmoud Khalil came out and said the following. Congratulations to Daria Liza. Let this election be a warning to every politician who puts AIPAC's interest above their own community. Now, why is this so important? Daria Liza, I believe, was one of the organizers, and she was at the pro-Palestine anti-genocide encampments, okay? And Mahmoud Khalil, of course, he was on the front lines. This dude lost his freedom for using his First Amendment rights and speaking up against a genocide. You know, ICE kidnapped his ass and kept him locked up, no due process. It was a fucking nightmare, as we all know. And now, Mahmoud Khalil getting kidnapped and abducted and trafficked by the state started the snowball effect, which led to Daria Liza now being in Congress. By the way, she now represents one of the universities that kicked out the encampments. Isn't that something? Now she represents the district. So who's got the power now, bitch? Who's got the power now? Oh, you love to see it. You simply love to see it. All right, Sam Cedar says, congressional districts with some of the largest Jewish populations in the country just told AIPAC to suck it. That's exactly right. This is a rebuke by many Jewish voters against AIPAC and against Israel. I like this. New York voters and AIPAC is the baby that they're tossing into the garbage. Okay. David Dayan says the following. If DSA were right-wing, Fox News and the Wall Street Journal editorial page would immediately be signing up everyone associated with them to be commentators and editorialists to keep up with where the party is going. Oh my days. That's such a great point. That is such a great point. And you know what? Not going to happen. Never going to happen. They've always written off the left. They always will continue to write off the left. As somebody who's solidly a lefty, the only networks that ever really invited me on, it was Fox. And they invited me on like 2 times maybe. I went on 2 times. I hammered their ass too aggressively, and I never got invited back. Okay? All right, but CNN, never. MS Now, never. In fact, I have reason to believe that we're low-key banned from ever certainly appearing, I believe, on MS Now, which is kind of crazy. And this was back when they were MSNBC. Maybe it's changed a little bit now that it's MS Now. Maybe that'll change. But yeah, you're not going to have like a number of democratic socialist commentators on these networks representing that philosophy, which is clearly an insurgent, ascendant philosophy, okay? Brooklyn Bridge Builder says, Dan Goldman has been one of the most effective Congress members. He helped lead Trump's first impeachment, fought ICE, and backed progressive priorities. He did incredible work, but lost his race because he refused to buy into the genocide libel, this person says. That's it. Dem Party is in big trouble. Well, Adam Johnson responds, 77% of Democrats think Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Only 11% disagree. Liberals watched toddlers torn to shreds for months on end, while Goldman and a Dem president backed the slaughter. The idea that this would have no political blowback is as obscene as it is deluded. Adam Johnson says, quote, he is a good progressive, except he supports killing 20,000 plus children in Gaza. Is not an intellectually or morally credible position. There exists a party where most voters think Israel is committing genocide. It's called the Republican Party. Goldman is welcome to join it. Sorry. That's exactly correct, ladies and gentlemen. That's exactly correct. Prem Thakur echoing something we said earlier here. The primary season is not yet over, and already the number of Democratic Socialists in Congress is set to double. Claire Valdez, Daria Liza, Chris Rabb, will join Bernie Sanders, Rashida Tlaib, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and there may yet be more to come. Okay, so Republicans against Trump, who, by the way, joined the coalition against Trump roughly 7.5 seconds ago, chimes in and says, this won't help Democrats win back the House. And it's an old post of Daria Liza saying, I forgot to get napkins, so I just wiped my hand on the American flag behind me. Let me say this as simply as possible and as clearly as possible. Nobody gives a shit about your old shit posts. Nobody cares anymore. It is not going to tank your political career. If anything, it makes you a little more controversial, a little more edgy, and therefore a little more interesting. Okay? Turns out people pay attention when you say spicy ass shit. Go figure in the age of Trump. Like people are just realizing this. Oh, turns out if I say some real ass spicy ass shit, people are kind of more interested in listening to what I have to say. Yeah, no shit. You're not going to finger wag and tut-tut your way into defeating this Democratic Tea Party. And if you don't like it, Republicans against Trump, that's a you problem, not an us problem. You joined the coalition 7.5 seconds ago, where there's a lot of Democratic primary voters, Democratic Tea Party voters, who their whole lives have gone back and forth between Democrats and third parties. And the reason they ever went to third parties in the first place, and they'll tell you this straight up just like I will, is because I felt like the Democratic Party wasn't staying true to what the Democratic Party is supposed to be. So in the times that these people look to third parties, it's like, hey, they're actually embodying the spirit of the Democratic Party that I believe in. So those people are way more Democrats than your ass will ever be. Because if you were a fucking supporter of George W. Bush, and now you go, well, I hate Trump. Well, George W. Bush is exactly like Donald Trump. So why the fuck were you okay with Donald Trump back in the day, and you're not okay with Donald Trump now? I'm so sick of these, like, never Trump Republicans, these people who were neocons 7.5 seconds ago, or still are neocons, by the way, and they're like, now I will dictate what happens with your party. Or how about you go fuck off and suck Trump's nuts from the back? How about that? Or George W. Bush's nuts, or whichever fucking Republican you find wandering around the streets. Okay? Spare me. And by the way, this is a serious conversation in left-wing circles, mind you, how we're supposed to deal with the issue of patriotism, how are we supposed to feel living in a country in the imperial core that mass murders innocent people all across the world, does torture, builds concentration camps, breaks up families, okay? Does the worst human rights atrocities we've ever seen, writes off the ICJ and the ICC, acts like international law doesn't exist, has routinely been the hub of terrorist violence all around the world, official state-sanctioned terrorist violence, carpet bombing schools and hospitals, arming genocides. Are we not allowed to look at that and go, do I need to wave the flag and cheer for that blindly? Or, is there like a deeper conversation to be had here about the way we interact with this country, interface with this country, and how we move forward? I've always taken the position, I love this country, but I love it in a way where I'm mandating that we have to change and be better, right? If you're a parent and your kid is doing crack behind a dumpster in the back of an Arby's, you're going to go, hey, let me try to help you. Not like, oh, I support everything you do because you're my son and that's why it's okay. No, that's stupid, I believe in tough love for this country. And if some people say some shit like this in an edgy moment, I understand exactly what they're saying, and you do too. You're just being a fuckhead about it, okay? Jesus fucking Christ. We're not doing this anymore. Oh, in 2021, you said nobody cares. Shut the fuck up. You want healthcare or not? You want to end the genocide or not? You want to stand up to the MAGA criminals or not? You want to tax the billionaires or not? How about this? And Germentum says, this is brutal. Reynoso was a popular borough president with reformist credentials. He was backed by the beloved outgoing congresswoman. It just meant nothing in the face of the Zohran and DSA endorsement. Huge, huge show of strength for them. Claire Valdez winning by double digits. I'm telling you, man, it's a new day. Unless people say, oh, this is just in New York, and that's another line of cope. This is New York. This is not going to happen anywhere else, bro. Oh, yeah? Watch out for Abdul El Sayed. Watch out for Graham Plattner. Watch out for all the slate of left-wing candidates. Hassan's already had, 12 endorsed candidates who went on to win. Prepare yourself. It's not just New York, motherfucker. It's not just New York. Okay. And Germentum posted this. It's a quote from Chuck Schumer, March 18th, 2025. My job is to keep the left pro-Israel. How's that going, bro? How's that working out for you? Let me know. APAC Tracker says, Representative Espaillat has been defeated by Daria Lisa, and as you can see here, he's taken $3.2 million from the pro-Israel lobby, and Daria Lisa has taken $0 from the pro-Israel lobby. You simply love to see it. Taniel says, big result, New York State Senator Jessica Ramos, who gave Andrew Cuomo a surprise endorsement near the end of the mayoral primary last year, has lost her seat. She is ousted in today's Dem primary by Jessica Gonzalez Rojas, an assembly member endorsed by many left figures like AOC. Oh boy, you love that. So somebody made a corrupt deal with Cuomo to try to boost him. Cuomo got his cheeks clapped, and then this person lost as well. Okay, so here we go to CNN, and they're going to talk about Mamdani versus other Democrats and where they are on Israel. And you're not going to be surprised at the results here.
I don't think that Israel has played a bigger role in any district any more than in this particular district. We are talking about New York's 10th district. I mean, chance to be the New York 10 Dem nominee. Dan Goldman, the incumbent, a hero of the Trump first impeachment trial among Democrats, only has a 1, 2, 3% chance of actually holding on to his Democratic designation to be the Dem nominee in this particular race. Brad Lander, who was last seen running for mayor in New York City, 98% chance. The reason why Dan Goldman is in trouble is because of the issue of Israel. He is seen by many in that district as being too pro-Israel. Lander has the endorsement of Zohran Mamdani, who, obviously, when it comes to the issue of Israel, has been much more pro-Palestinian than pro-Israeli.
Of course, this is what the Calci prediction markets are saying about this race tomorrow, but you can look at any of the polls.
This matches up with the internal polling 100%.
All right. Democrats in general, how has their thinking changed on Israel?
Yeah, okay. So why are we seeing this right now in the Calci prediction markets? Well, it's part of a broader national picture, right? I mean, just look at the change over the past few years. You go back to late 2023, who Dem voters sympathized more with. It was basically an even split, but perhaps slightly more with the Israelis than the Palestinians, 34% to 31%. Look at this Israeli percentage, though. Down through the ground, look at this, now just 16%. This Palestinian percentage, about doubled. The percentage of Democrats who say they sympathize more with the Palestinians has about doubled in just 2.5 years. Look.
Did something happen? Why would this happen? Was there some issue that unfolded that I'm unaware of? I don't know.
From 31% to now the clear majority of Democrats now say they sympathize more with the Palestinians than the Israelis, a 60% to 16%. So a 3-point spread in favor of Israel has become a 44-point spread in favor of the Palestinians in terms of who Democratic voters sympathize more with.
And that's Democratic voters writ large. What about Jewish Democrats?
Yeah, so if you know anything about New York 10, you know that it is one of the most heavily Jewish congressional districts in the country. And so you might say to yourself, hey, why what applies nationally would necessarily apply in New York 10? Well, this is one of the more interesting questions and crosssteps that I have seen. Did Israel commit genocide in Gaza? This is among Jewish Democrats. And even among Jewish Democrats, the majority of Jewish Democrats say yes. 52% do believe that Israel committed genocide in Gaza compared to just 39% who say no.
Damn, son. And this is why you got to understand, man. The anti-Semites like fucking Nick Fuentes and them are coping and seething because they want to blame all Jews, but you can't blame all Jews because Jews are our brothers and sisters. Okay, and many of them are leading the charge, leading the fight against the genocide in Gaza and standing up to this atrocious fascist ethno-terror state, okay? And it was a bunch of Jewish voters that just said, oh, you're a pro-Israel Democrat? We're kicking your ass to the curb, bro. Insane stuff that we're witnessing here. Okay. Hassan Piker has also endorsed Malat Quiros in Colorado's 1st district and Oliver Larkin in Florida's 25th district. Both are challenging incumbent Democrats like Daria Liza, who won the New York 13 primary tonight to defeat Espaillat. So just saying, any of y'all out there watching this, you want to make a little donation skis to Oliver Larkin and Malat Quiros? I'm just throwing this out there, but there's a whole slate of progressive candidates. And by the way, go ahead and post them in the comment section below, and I hope everybody takes a minute to go through the comment section and see who these progressive candidates are, where they're running, how you can support them, because they could use all the help they can get. But guys, this is our moment. We've never had a moment better than this. The lane is wide open, right? The lane is wide open. Let's do our thing here. So love that as well. This is crazy to me, bro. New York Attorney General Letitia James, who I like and I've given a lot of credit to in the past. She led the charge against Trump with a lot of the civil trials and won them shits, proving the insurance fraud and the business fraud and the tax fraud and all that stuff. So I always liked her, right? But she criticized Mamdani and some of his endorsed candidates in New York City's primaries, telling CNN that some of those candidates don't understand the communities they want to represent and are disconnected from the history and struggles of many New York City districts. Who the fuck are you to determine that? So Democratic voters make a decision that you don't like, and now all of a sudden, they just simply don't understand the communities. Or maybe they do, and maybe you don't. How about that? How about maybe try to understand where the Democratic will is coming from, especially within the Democratic Party, instead of, looking down on it. Like, what is this? All right. She also said that she and other Democratic leaders are, quote, disappointed in Mamdani, adding, quote, all of us are a little frustrated with the Democratic Party, but you don't blow it up. That's what MAGA has done. How would this be blowing up the Democratic Party? It's called running in primaries and winning. It's called actually trying to build up the Democratic Party and make it better with better anti-MAGA fighters. Okay? You should know this better than anybody. I actually find it disgusting to compare these Democratic socialists to MAGA, because the bottom line is the reason they're being chosen is because the centrist Democrats, the corporate Democrats, have caved to MAGA far too much. They are diet MAGA Democrats. These Democratic socialists are the solution to diet MAGA. So what a disgusting thing for Letitia James to say. And you know what? Crystal helped me put the puzzle pieces together earlier. You know that she was marching in the Israel Day Parade and giving like a pro-Israel speech? Huh. Weird. Maybe that's the defining thing here and why she's so against this new slate of Democratic Tea Party candidates. Because the fact of the matter is, if they had the same beliefs on every other issue but Israel, my guess is she'd be saying positive things about them. So that's fucking shameful, man, because she's done some great work and I've supported her quite a bit. But now she's poo-pooing and looking down on the Democratic Tea Party wave, which is the most necessary thing we've ever had in this country to try to save it. Okay? I'm sorry, but the centrist Democrats and the diet MAGA Democrats are not going to save us from fascism. Not going to happen. They've already failed at that repeatedly. Here's the New York Post. They say, the hateful slate. 3 Israel, cop, and private property-hating Mamdaniites win Democrat congressional primaries. I love this. So, from right-wingers who support Donald J. Trump, they're saying, these people are so hateful, bro. They're so hateful, bro. Anyway, my candidate just bombed another hospital and another school and just called Mexicans rapists and criminals. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what, genuinely and sincerely, what is wrong with these people? You know what? Cope, seethe, and understand the torrent of attacks are going to be so over the top and so insane that it's going to make regular people look at them like, what's going on with these right-wingers? And this happened during the Obama era too. They were so unhinged with how they went after Obama that normal people were like, you guys seem kind of crazy and Obama seems normal, right? And we're about to see the same thing happen here. Because look, a lot of these candidates, it's true, a lot of these candidates are edgy, are controversial, are actual radicals. But I guarantee you that the reaction to them is so over the top that it's going to make them even more sympathetic figures. I also love the notion now that instead of having to go to one person in the House to get like the left-wing perspective, like every time going to AOC, now you have like 7 or 8 different people that you can go to and they'll give you a left-wing perspective. And some of them are to the left of AOC. Finally, we'll go to Stephen A. Smith, who I don't know why felt the need to comment on this stuff, and prepare yourself because this is fucking gross.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me be very, very clear.
Be clear.
If the Democratic Party becomes the likes of Zohran Mamdani, who, by the way, I like, I'm not trying to throw any shade on him or anything like that, but if the Democratic Party becomes him, you have no chance.
Come on. If the Democratic Party becomes like this guy who I like and I adore and I appreciate and I actually think he's awesome, y'all got no chance. How does that work? How does that work? I like him, but obviously he sucks. By the way, this is a guy who brags about being a centrist. He brags about being an independent. Hey, Steven, leave the Democratic Party stuff to the Democrats, okay? Leave it to us lefties and liberals. He doesn't even describe as a liberal, never mind a lefty, right? And he feels the need to look down his nose and lecture to us about, here's what you guys should do. You know what this is called? This is called the inexplicable best friend. Adam Johnson coined that term. Typically you use it for Republicans. It's when Republicans go on TV and they go, these Democrats, I don't know what they're doing. They're going to hurt their brand by picking these extremists, bro. And it's like, wait a second, you're a Republican. Why should I take your advice on anything? You want me to lose. And they're like, I'm giving you good advice, though. No, why would I trust your fucking advice? You're a piece of shit. You're on the other team. What are you talking about? The inexplicable Republican best friend. He's now doing the inexplicable centrist best friend. That's the bit he's doing here. All right, let's keep going.
You have no chance on a national basis in terms of the presidency. In Senate, seats in the House, you have no chance.
Didn't people say that about Donald J. Trump? Wasn't the perspective across the board, well, obviously this guy's got no chance. And it turns out people were wrong because they misread the situation. By the same token, you're wrong, Stephen A. Smith. People gave Zohran no chance in the mayor's race, and he proved them wrong. People gave Zohran no chance when he endorsed these candidates, and they were wrong. Turns out, everybody's just wrong all the time about this guy. So maybe you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Maybe this is exactly what the Democratic Party needs. But you know the real reason why he's actually against Zohran and his candidates, right? You know the real reason. Look up his net worth. That's the first thing I did. I was like, let me see what's going on here. Oh, $90 million net worth. Damn, son. Yeah, I'd venture a guess that over 90% of the people who are worth that much money are going to be like, I don't like this guy who wants to raise my taxes massively. Yeah, no shit. No shit, you don't. But it kind of taints your opinion. I feel like this should come with a disclaimer. Disclaimer, this is the kind of person who will be taxed by Zohran Mamdani. So he's sour grape, so he's pissed off.
You have no chance. I want to be very, very clear about that. You might have a Democratic Socialist sprinkled here and there, but that ain't what America is.
Wrong. By the way, don't take my word for it. You go look at the polls. Do the American people support universal health care, Medicare for all? Do the American people support a higher minimum wage? Do the American people support raising taxes on the wealthy? Do the American people support ending the wars? Do the American people support universal child care? Yes, 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 yes. The fact of the matter is, the majority of the American people are Democratic Socialists or Social Democrats. They just don't know it yet because they don't know labels. And it's never been explained to them because the media is a capitalist fucking hellscape. Okay? That's the bottom line. But what he's doing is label fear-mongering. Oh, Democratic Socialist. The word socialist is a potty word. It's a no-no word. Yes, and guess what? That taboo is breaking too, bitch. It's breaking too.
America's about capitalism. America's about dollars and cents. America's about an economy, a flourishing economy.
Because obviously you can't have an economy or a flourishing economy under socialism or democratic socialism or social democracy. Spare me. America's about capitalism, says the guy with $90 million. Fuck off.
And you know what it's not about? Free stuff.
Really? What about Medicare? What about Medicaid? What about every single government service? Right? What about those? Those are free at the point of service. They're paid for by taxes, like everything else that we're talking about here. Don't act like we live in an anarcho-capitalist hellscape. We don't. There's many aspects of this country, which are the most popular, by the way, which are free. The VA, which polls as the most liked healthcare in the entire country. The VA, that is effectively a single-payer healthcare system. So America's not about free stuff, except when it is about free stuff. Except those instances. And those are the parts that people like the most, by the way.
Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it.
I love how he thinks it's edgy. Oh, yeah? Well, I'm going to say it. I support capitalism, and I support billionaires. Somebody's got to say it, so I'm going to say it. Congratulations, you're taking the majority establishment hack position. You're taking the position of everybody with $90 million sitting in the bank. This isn't edgy. This isn't controversial. This is like bog standard conservatism and corporatism. Fuck all the way off. So anyway, people are gonna crash out. They're gonna panic. They're gonna whine. They're gonna bitch. They're gonna moan. But the Democratic Tea Party is here, and there's no fucking stopping us. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to. So you guys have all known for a while that Trump is in really, really deep shit at the moment. It's bad, man. It's bad. I mean, we've seen polls where every single demographic group that he picked up votes with in 2024, they are gone and then some. They've reverted to the mean, and in many cases, worse than that. Okay? So all the independents, all the young voters, all the Hispanic voters, these were all groups that, you know, political pundits were a little shocked, like, oh shit, he did a little better than your average Republican did with those groups, right? Well, now people are looking at it and going, hey, yo, what have you done? You bled away all your support. There was one poll, remember, it was like 44 and under, and 12% approval rating for Trump among people 44 and under. That's not just young voters, that's like middle-aged and young voters, okay? Disaster polls. Now, when we look at the overall favorability, we've seen it, right? At his peak, maybe he was looking at like 46% of the country supports him. That's at his peak. As time has gone by, that bitch dropped immediately like 42, 43. Then you got to like an average of 42 in the polls, not just like one or two polls saying that. Then you finally started seeing 39, 38, 34, okay? And then the one I've been citing the most lately was the lowest I had seen, which is 32. Now, his average is in the 30s now. His average is about 38. But I saw one that was 32%. And I kept telling you guys, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. He's going to hit the 20s at some point, dog. He's going to be late-term George W. Bush, Dick Cheney numbers here any minute now. Okay, and let's remember, they reworked how they did the polls because they felt like they had underestimated Trump so many times that the pollsters were like, we obviously need to change the way that we do these in order to be more favorable to MAGA and Republicans because we missed shit in the past, so now we got to like put a little bit of a built-in bias in favor of them, right? Now, with that being the case, with this being built into the polls, you know what we just got? New Trump approval poll from ARG. Disapprove, 67%. Approve, 30%, y'all. 30%. What did I always tell you guys, man? I always told you his absolute floor is anywhere from 25% to 33%. We are now officially in the middle of the window that's the actual floor. But here's the thing. I think I was wrong. I actually don't think this is the actual floor anymore. Because you know what? We don't have the $5 or $6 a gallon gasoline yet, which is coming very shortly. Okay? We don't have the economic depression yet, which is coming very shortly. We don't have the AI bubble bursting, which is coming very shortly. We don't have even worse inflation and even worse unemployment, which is coming very shortly. What we have is a president who's gone out there and said, I don't even think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think about it at all. He says stuff like, we can't afford to do daycare and Medicare and Medicaid and stuff like that because we got a war we got to do. So he's already going out there shooting himself in the tiny mushroom cock on a daily basis. And we still haven't even hit economic rock bottom. He's asking for $1.5 trillion with a T for the military when they can't account for 63% of their money. At the same time, you can't pay for groceries. And you can't pay for gas. And you're struggling to make ends meet day in and day out. And 80% of the country is already living in a recession. Nah, bro, this is bad. This is bad. This is really bad. 30%? 30%. Guys, understand something. Anytime you get in the 30s, that's already apocalyptic. We're damn near in the 20s in this bitch. This is like George W. Bush after multiple illegal wars, okay? After subprime mortgage crisis, Great Recession, people struggling all over the country. This, like, and again, we haven't even been hit with the actual economic catastrophe yet, which is coming. Holy cow, man. Apocalyptic numbers is what we're talking about here. Apocalyptic. Now, by the way, a message to Democrats. Y'all got to get your shit together because you guys still poll very low also, right? You would think that this is Democrats' gain when MAGA is this hated. Well, no, it turns out some of the Democratic polls say the party brand is still very tarnished and very fucking low. Now, thankfully, we're changing that with Zohran and his candidates getting in there and people who will actually fight MAGA and actually stand for something like universal health care and free college and a living wage and ending the wars, et cetera, et cetera. But you can't just rest on people despising MAGA forever. You actually have to get in there and deliver for people materially. Okay, so how do we get to this point? Well, I mean, I feel like something Trump just said recently highlights why we are where we are here. It's almost like he's professionally stupid, and his persuasive skills have fallen off as his brain has gotten worse and worse, and he's clearly in cognitive decline, and he's clearly struggling with Alzheimer's or dementia. Listen to this. This is crazy.
The Department of War is asking for $80 billion more for the Iran war. Do you think Americans support this at a time when so many are financially struggling?
The question was, why would Americans support billions of dollars more for the Iran war when they're already struggling? Why would they support $80 billion more? Which is what Pete Kegsbreth, the Secretary of War Crimes, and Trump, they're asking for an emergency $80 billion just to fund the war. And they're going, why would Americans support that when they're struggling? Ready? And then listen to Trump's reaction.
At a time when so many are financially struggling.
Who are you with?
I'm with the nation, sir.
Not a very good group.
Nah, man, he's not even trying. He's not even trying anymore. He's not even trying. When he's caught red-handed, he's like, not a good outlet, not a good group. You guys are doing poorly, very poorly in the ratings. Like, come on, man. Come on. I can't. How is this man president still? What the fuck is going on? Can we impeach him already? Can we impeach him? Can we 25th Amendment him? Can we get him the fuck out of there? Can people acknowledge the plain-faced reality that this guy is not in his right brain? That even his right brain was horrible when it was there, but now it's even worse. Oh my God.
Not a very good group. Not doing very well. Not only do they support it, they demand it because they won't allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. You want to see trouble? Let them have a nuclear weapon.
Not only do Americans support $80 billion for this illegal war of aggression against Iran, they're demanding it. Americans are out there in the streets going, more money for war, bomb more little girl schools, bomb more hospitals, suck Netanyahu's dick. This is what happens when nobody around you is allowed to keep it real with you and check your ass. This right here is what happens when nobody around you is allowed to check your ass. See, if this was any other president, they'd have somebody in their ear immediately after this. They go, what the fuck was that? What is wrong with you? Are you trying to have a 25% approval rating? What was that? But Trump, he surrounded himself with loyalists and sycophants. And so they tell him his farts smell like cologne, and they tell him everything's wonderful. And so he makes a fool of himself in this press conference, and then they cheer for him like he's a little boy. Yay, Donnie, you went potty. Yay, Donnie, you're so good. Oh, yay. Oh, my days.
They demand it because they won't allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. You want to see trouble? Let them have a nuclear weapon. We're doing very well with Iran. They've been decimated, and we're making a deal with them.
We're working very well with Iran. They've been decimated. Oh, my God. I'm not sure anybody has more obviously lost a war than Donald J. Trump when it comes to Iran. I mean, they are victory mogging us left and right. Iran is. And he's still out there like, we won, they're decimated, but maybe I'll kill them all. But we're talking about peace right now, and maybe we'll make a deal. But maybe I'll kill them all. Oh, no. Is a MAGA-induced migraine a thing? Because I think I'm getting one. I think it's coming on right now. Okay. I don't even know what to say about this one, bro. Asked about the reflecting pool. Listen to where this ends up. This is wild.
Part of what's curious about this situation is we stood here with you in April when you first revealed the plans.
I said what?
In April, you showed us pictures of what you were going to do at the pool, and you said you had a guy who was going to do it in a week for about $1 million.
Well,
it's been 2 months and $16.5 million.
Yeah, okay, ready? Barack Hussein Obama. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah.
You said it'd be done in a week and it'd be $1 million. It's 2 months and it's $16 million. And he goes, what about Barack Hussein Obama? You mean the guy who was out of office in 2016? A motherfucking decade ago, you fat pedophile bitch? Oh, no. Oh, God, no. Oh, my days. I can't. What are we even doing here? Since his brain doesn't function right anymore, it just glitches, right? And when it glitches, it vomits out some of the shit that he used to say in the past. So like, Barack Hussein Obama. Like, what the fuck does that have to do with the question? Oh, my days.
$16.5 million.
Yeah, okay, ready? Barack Hussein Obama. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah.
He spent 2 years and over $100 million on trying to fix it. You know what happened to it?
Nobody told you to go out there and say it would cost $1 million and be done in a week. You said that, and you were wrong, and you lied. That's what about Barack Hussein Obama? By the way, don't trust a single goddamn word he says about what Obama wanted to do, how much it costs, because as you all know, the second you go to actually look up the shit he says, you go, oh, that was not remotely what was said.
He took the water from the river. You know about that, right? It turned out to be putrid. and it destroyed the whole thing. Spent over $100 million.
A man who had algae growing in the reflecting pool he fixed like 2.5 minutes after he filled it is lecturing other people. I don't know, it seemed a lot better under his leadership than under your leadership.
Him and Biden together spent $147 million. You know what happened? Never opened. You don't mention that, right? We spent about 10. Much of the money we spent are park workers. They're there whether they do this or not, as you know. They work in the park, and they're very good workers. They did a great job. So they were going to spend $300 to $400 million. You know that, and it was going to take 4 years. I spent about 6-7 weeks, and I spent probably in terms of outside probably $10 million, around $10 million. They say
He just be making shit up, man. You guys all know the backstory to this. The guy who he gave the no-bid contract to looks like a literal cartoon villain. Looks like somebody who, if he was in The Sopranos, you would go, no, this is not believable anymore. He looks too much like a New Jersey mobster. Okay? A joke of a human being. Why did you give him a no-bid contract? I think we all know the answer, because you are skimming from the top, because this is not a government. This is a criminal syndicate. This is a cartel. You're a crime family. That's why you picked this guy, because he's letting you skim off the top and take millions of dollars. In the same way, there was reporting on a different fountain that he fixed where it was 10 times, 20 times, 30 times what the price was supposed to be, and it was another no-bid contract, and you guys are making money off of it. We're not dumb. We're not born yesterday. Have you considered Barack Hussein Obama? Yeah, I have. He was like 1 trillion times better than you in every imaginable way.
so. They were going to spend $400 million. I spent.
The number changes literally back to back. From sentence to sentence, he'll change the number that they were going to spend this, and then it's this other number. What the fuck are you doing?
They were going to spend 4 years. I spent 2 months, maybe less.
And made it worse. Gee, I wonder why he's at a 30% approval rating. By the way, this is the shit he cannot shut the fuck up about. Have you think of the reflecting pool? Have you seen the UFC fight? Have you seen the Trump Kennedy Center? What about the Arc de Trump? Have you seen the Trump Airport in Florida? Maybe we should put my face on Mount Rushmore. Maybe I should steal Greenland. Like, this is what he does. Well, people are sitting there going, I can't afford eggs. Coffee is out of my budget now. Like, enough. That 30% number is 30% too much, bro. I mean, it should be way, way lower. Basically, he's getting down to just the cult members who would drink the Kool-Aid and who would eat his salad on a daily basis, okay? Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to. All right, so Trump decided to go out there and give a bit of a rally speech here. Now, here's the thing. Here's the open secret that you need to understand, okay? He gave this speech in Pennsylvania, and he gave it at a Mack truck manufacturing facility, okay? And what they do in these situations is they basically offer overtime, they offer more money. If you work at this company, they try to force you to go to this speech. That's how this works. See, MAGA has completely and utterly collapsed. When you have live speeches, a live rally, the audiences are tiny as fuck now. Corin was by a Trump rally in Jersey, and he said it was shocking how, like, you know, he's fallen off. He's fallen off big time. There used to be signs everywhere. Now you can't find the signs anywhere. People are pretending like they never supported MAGA. And so the trick is, oh shit, we can't attract our own organic audience. So let's, like, force people that work at a factory, have their boss force them to show up to watch the speech. So that's exactly what happened here. And it's going to be very obvious when you look at the background of the speech, like who's standing behind Trump. Now, it was still very lightly attended, even given that fact. And man, this thing was an absolute catastrophe. So first he goes out there and he immediately hits us with, how about I end American democracy forever? Wouldn't it be great if I ended American democracy forever and I just became a dictator for life? He talks about running a third time. Here we go, listen.
They cheat like hell, but we won it by a lot, and maybe we should run again. Should we run one more time? I'd like to do that.
He'd like to do that. He said he'd like to do that. Even though he's physically and mentally rotting away in front of us, and he can't keep his eyes open during the day in meetings, and he's awake all night tweeting about Lord knows what, he wants to do that again. Okay, still not done with the rigged election talk because he brings up California. Listen to this.
So I don't know, he would have a great chance, but the election's totally rigged. California's totally rigged. All mail-in ballots, it's a disgrace. We got to pass the Save America Act, okay?
To me, I find this completely unforgivable, and this alone should be impeachment worthy for a president. Nobody with a functioning brain thought the brat reality star buffoon who ran as a Republican in one of the bluest cities in the country actually had a chance in a blue wave year. Fucking spare me. Okay? This guy, they stole it from Spencer Pratt. Shut the fuck up. It was never stolen from you. It's never stolen from him. If anything, the people doing the stealing are you. You are begging to do the stealing. You have 7 different options on how to rig the midterms and 2028. Okay. Then Trump, I'm not kidding, he flashes all the way back to like fucking 2018, and he's out there doing his transgender weightlifter bit. Here we go.
Guy comes along who transitioned. That's the term. I've gotten very good at that term. I used to take a lot of heat for my definition of the movement over. But he transitioned. He was a poor, very poor, bottom of the line, male weightlifter. But now he's a female weightlifter. And he looked at the amount. I think it was like 210 pounds or something like that. Well, that's a lot for a woman, but not that much for a man. You could do it with one hand. And he goes, looks down at the weight. I think he did a few things for emphasis. And he won the medal. And everyone said, oh, isn't that wonderful? Are we crazy?
I love how the crowd is sitting there in silence. I love how and by the way, the bit goes on. When he does this bit, it just drags on and on and on, and like, trans people, it's a man, but lifting weights is a woman. Beating all the records is totally unfair. Here we watch this. Here we go.
She gets him, and she gets him. And the mother's screaming, darling, I love you, darling. And the father's looking, saying she has no chance. And she's like this, you see it? Drops him. And she's like devastated for the rest of her life.
To say he's washed is the understatement of the century. Bro, you're doing bits that are nearly a decade old. Go back and look at the stuff Trump used to say when it came to trans people. He was asked if Caitlyn Jenner was in Trump Tower, which bathroom would she use? And he said, she could use whatever bathroom she likes. She could use the woman's bathroom if she wants. And then fast forward, as soon as he realized it's fashionable in bigoted right-wing circles to shit on trans people, he starts doing all this anti-trans garbage. Okay? And how many times are you going to do this bit? How many times are you going to do this bit? This is like watching, did you guys see that clip on Twitter of Rod Stewart performing in Utah? And like in between lines in one of his songs, he's saying, young hearts be free tonight. And then he has to fucking reach over and use an oxygen mask in between lines. Time is on your side. Like, Trump is that. Trump is Rod Stewart huffing in the oxygen in between lines in Utah at a concert. Okay? Time to wrap it up, son. Time to wrap it up. It's tired, it's stale, it's boring. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody wants to shit on innocent trans people. At the same time, Elon Musk just became a motherfucking trillionaire. We have people who can't afford to eat or pay the bills, and Elon Musk, the dumbest motherfucker on planet Earth, who Nazi tweets on a daily basis, is a trillionaire. Well, actually, he's not. He just went under a trillionaire. But that's because they're rug pulling and scamming everybody, as we all told you they would. Okay? But I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. The only minority worth bashing are the billionaires. Being a billionaire is a mental disorder. These people are sick, they're twisted, they're parasites, they've rigged the system against you. You can't pay the bills, they have all the fucking money. Okay? Don't bash anybody except the billionaires and the warmongers and the fascists. So enough with this washed-ass bit. Oh, the trans weightlifter, we're getting close to, do you identify as an attack helicopter? Do you identify as an attack helicopter? To that level of washed for a bit. Okay, but we haven't even gotten to the worst part. He just starts casually babbling about how amazing our war against Venezuela was, and about how, we're making a lot of money because of that war against Venezuela. So let's understand this. He's going to a crowd of Mack truck workers, and he's saying, wasn't it great when I illegally invaded a country and kidnapped the president and started stealing their oil and stealing their gold and committing war crimes? Remember when I murdered Rosa Gonzalez by carpet bombing the Capitol? Remember that? Well, we're making a lot of money. We're making a lot of money from this, so it's great. Isn't it great when I commit war crimes and profit off of it? What the fuck are we doing? Here we go.
48 minutes to win that war. We have the greatest military in the world. 48 minutes. And And we've paid for the cost of the war. Where do you hear this? 28 times already. More, but 28 times. So the cost of the war, we've already, because we brought millions of barrels of oil out.
That's not paying for the war. The barrels you bring out go to the profits for private oil companies. That doesn't go to you. That doesn't go to me. And by the way, even if it did, you're still robbing and stealing the oil of a sovereign nation like fucking thieves. Trump says the U.S. has paid for the cost of the Venezuela war 28 times already. He said the number was 40 6 days ago. So just to show you how much he makes shit up. He just pulls it out of his ass. He continues with this same theme.
We've already, because we brought millions of barrels of oil out, and we're getting along great. The people running it, they're our people, they're great people. And the people are happy in the country. They have smiles, they were miserable, they were starving. But they have a lot of oil under that ground. You know how you find oil in Venezuela? Just look at the ground. You'll see oil bubbling up. They have so much oil, they don't know what to do with it, but they had a bad system. They're making more money now for the country than they've ever made before, and we're making a lot of money too.
Jesus Christ. So here's what actually happened. He kidnapped the president, locked him up illegally, started stealing the oil and the gold. He took the oil that he stole, sold it, then took the hundreds of millions of dollars he made from that and put it in a private bank account that only he controls in Qatar. I'm not kidding. This man has rolled the clock back to fucking 1800 style imperialism and colonialism. And here he is bragging about war crimes. If any other leader did anything remotely close to this, they'd be in handcuffs by the end of the day, bro. They would get the fucking death penalty. The ICC and the ICJ would have a fucking field day. The US, if any other country did this, would have a field day, calling them a rogue regime, a terrorist regime, criminals, through and through. But when it's us, he's bragging to a bunch of truckers, bragging to a bunch of Mack truck workers. Remember when I did the war crimes and I stole the stuff? Remember that? Wasn't that great? We're making so much money. When he says we, he means him. He means him and Jared Kushner. He means him and all of his fucking corrupt billionaire Epstein-class insiders. Fucking spare me, bro. Oh, my days. This country has undergone a fucking moral collapse and a spiritual death, and I've never seen it in a worse place than it is right now. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to. So I'm not kidding when I say that a real-time IQ test is asking somebody what they think of Elon Musk. Anybody who in the year 2026 is defending Elon Musk has absolutely 100% a sub 100 IQ, probably sub 90 IQ. Okay, it's a real-time IQ test. This guy, there's never been a bigger fraud in human history than Elon Musk, and it's never been more obvious, which is why this is a real-time IQ test. You'll know like that who you're dealing with, okay? Well, so Khanna, friend of the show, phenomenal congressman, he said a few things lately that, let's say, caught the interest of Elon Musk. So let's start with this one here. Khanna talking to Jennifer Welch, and he says the following.
But think about this, Jennifer. For 5% tax one time on Elon Musk, you could have universal childcare in America, $10 a day for every family. That's one person, one time, 5%, and he wouldn't even miss it because the market would grow by 15% and his wealth would still grow. And yet they're opposed to something as basic as that.
So what he's doing there is he's stating facts. What he's doing there is this thing we like to call math. Also, another one, Khanna. You know how we can pay off all this student loan debt? Tax Elon Musk. Tax the billionaires. So, needless to say, the absolute dead-eyed sociopath, the ketamine-addicted sociopath scrolling through Twitter on the toilet at 4 a.m., stumbles across Khanna talking about mildly raising his taxes. And what does he do? He fires back and he says, he's such an evil liar. He's such an evil liar. What about that was evil, and what about that is a lie? First of all, most of it is just, I think this policy is good. How is that a lie? You might not like the policy. How is that a lie? That's not remotely a lie. Are you taking issue with the math? Because then you'd be wrong, right? So he's an evil liar. What's evil about this? What's evil about saying, I agree with 80 or 90% of the American people when I say, let's raise taxes on the billionaires, okay? So Khanna fires back and says, Elon How about just paying the 5% instead of hurling random insults? And here are the facts, man. Your U.S. aid cuts did this. And so what does Khanna link to? Look at this. Devastating. UCLA study here. Research finds more than 14 million preventable deaths by 2030 if U.S. aid defunding continues, including more than 4 million children under 5. U.S. aid funding helped save 91 million lives over the past 20 years. New analysis warns that recent U.S. aid cuts could now put that progress at risk. Jesus Christ. So understand something. He's already been responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands, maybe even over 1 million already. But in totality, by 2030, 14 million preventable deaths. This is not Khanna saying that. This is objective data. This is research. This is detailed studies saying that. Okay? Then Elon Musk flips the fuck out. Khanna is his real name is Robber Khanna. What? You're a robber baron, and your little attempt at a cutesy Trumpian nickname immediately shit the bed. He's like, he should be arrested. He should be in prison. I should sue him. I'm not kidding. This is what Musk is doing. He's crashing out and panicking and saying these things about Khanna. In fact, Elon is running ads on his already boosted posts on his own platform to defend himself against voices he's already suppressing with the algorithm, a pathetic self-serving trillionaire. So Khanna is going back and forth with him. Every Ro post is deranked in the algorithm and pushed down and suppressed. Every Elon post is boosted. Plus, he's also like officially going above and beyond the normal boosting. He already gets to boost it even more. As you can see here, boosted at the bottom. He says, absolutely, this is a total lie. All Doge did was require contact with the aid recipient to confirm that funds were being used legitimately. Anything less than this is insane. Multiple people from USAID have been charged by the Justice Department. So he's got all of his little minions out there going, no, Doge didn't kill anybody. Doge didn't do anything wrong. Are you fucking kidding me? You absolute pathetic little twerps. Are you kidding me? Anybody who watches this show will be well aware that as a direct result of Doge, they cut pediatric cancer research. They cut National Weather Service funding, which led to bad forecasts, which led to deaths from flooding. Okay? They cut Meals on Wheels. They cut the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which protects you from scams. They fired the nuclear safety officials and had to beg for the top guy back. They cut FEMA, the Department of Education, fired 83,000 veterans, cut 50% of the Social Security offices, fired 250,000 public workers. They fired the food safety inspectors and made your food less safe. They fired air traffic controllers, which led to a bunch of plane crashes, by the way. They gutted the scientific research and the medical research. Who are we kidding? And that's to say nothing of the worst thing, which is the US aid shit. Okay? Evan says, he's acting like he chose which programs to cut when he literally cut all of them and admitted it. Some were keeping 4.5 million children alive. So here he says again, all Doge did was require contact information of the recipients. So he goes on and says that. Ready? Here's what he said at the time. We spent the weekend feeding USAID into the wood chipper. Could have gone to some great parties, did that instead. So now when he's under pressure, actually, we didn't cut anything. We just demanded verification, and we just demanded to talk to the people to guarantee the money was going there. That's what he says now, that he's under pressure and everybody knows he killed all these people. Back then, we spent the weekend feeding USAID into the wood chipper. I don't know about you, that sounds like you're using a hatchet and not a scalpel, you bitch. You ketamine-addicted, goose-stepping ass bitch. Dropside says, Representative Khanna is challenging Elon Musk to a televised debate after the billionaire called for him to be sued and jailed over criticism of Doge's dismantling of USAID. The exchange began after Khanna cited a study estimating USAID cuts could contribute to millions of child deaths. Musk replied, time to sue this liar, later adding, liars like Ro the robber should be in prison. Khanna told CNBC, I challenge him to a debate. Do it on CNN, do it on CNBC, do it at a university. He can pick the setting and let's debate what happened at Doge. Let's debate why I'm for a wealth tax. We can have a conversation of ideas if he believes in free speech and free expression about these ideas. I love that, like, these people have been so exposed as frauds that all Ro has to do is go out there and say, I actually believe in free speech. He only lied about believing in free speech, right? You're going to sue me over citing an academic study, you disgusting freak. Fuck you. You belong in prison. You belong in prison. The number of scams, The amount of vaporware Elon Musk has gotten away with, the amount of fraud he's gotten away with. He said, what, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I'm going to get us on Mars in a decade. Didn't do that. Where's the fucking, how many years did he say, full self-driving Teslas will be here soon? Lied over and over and over. Just saw a video the other day of a full self-driving Tesla drive 100 miles an hour into a fucking house and killing a grandma. Okay? Who are we kidding? This man is a con man. Where's the Hyperloop, you bitch? Where's the fucking Hyperloop that you overpromised and under-delivered? Where's the, Tesla sports car that you promised, which would have a massive battery range, which isn't even possible to do because you would need a battery bigger than the car to make it work. But you lied about it over and over and over and over and over. And now, by the way, he's literally rug pulling his $1 trillion fucking IPO, SpaceX IPO bullshit. He's already rug pulling it and conning people again. And all these fucking idiots out there fall for it. This ketamine-addicted, goose-stepping ass, trillionaire fucking bitch freak. His existence alone proves we don't live in a meritocracy. I hope you understand that. I hope you know that. I hope everybody knows that. It's very obvious. The most obvious thing I've ever seen in my life. So Khanna goes on Chris Hayes' show, and he says the following.
Well, I'm not going to be intimidated by this guy. I'm less concerned about me. I'm more concerned that the world's richest person possibly sentenced the poorest people in the world to their death. And the reason that he's upset at me and suing me is because I talked about us taking back the House, subpoenaing him, and investigating him. I mean, the academic study I cited is a year old. These issues have been put on the New York Times. It's not like I said anything new. So why is he suddenly scared? He's scared because he knows the Democrats could win back the House. He knows we'll have the subpoena power, and he finally is going to have to answer for these cuts.
I just got chills. From your lips to God's ears, Congressman. Get this guy in prison. Get him in prison. Investigate him. Throw his ass in prison. All right. Here he is with also friend of the show here, Jennifer Welch. And here's what else he says.
I didn't realize a few minutes of conversation with you, Jennifer, would get the world's richest person to have a total meltdown on X. I mean, doesn't he have better things to do than talk about our conversation? He's fired off 7 tweets. He said that he wants to sue me. He said that he wants me in jail. What's sad about this is it's not intimidating to me, but it's basically trying to silence any criticism. And all I did is cite an academic study, the Lancet study, which has said that those USAID cuts that Doge made potentially could lead to the deaths of millions of children around the world. I didn't even think it was very controversial. It's a UCLA-backed academic study. And the response is to put me in jail or sue me. I mean, it's really a mindset into how the oligarchy operates.
And finally, Evan says, cannot make this up. He says he canceled the program to feed children because they wouldn't put the starving children on the phone with him. True sociopath. So now, after all the political pressure, after Khanna calls out his bitch ass, after he melts down because of the academic studies proving that because of him, millions of people are going to die, okay, here's the best he could come up with. Listen to this. World's richest man, by the way, acting like a kid that has chocolate all over his mouth going, I didn't eat the cookie in the cookie jar. Here we go, watch.
The parts of USAID that were found to be even slightly useful were transferred to the State Department. So they've not been deleted. They've simply been transferred to the State Department.
Total lie, by the way. Complete and utter lie. By the way, look at what happened with Screwworm. You guys got rid of the Screwworm plan. We were like dumping flies over Mexico and South America to block Screwworm from coming up into our country. You guys axed it out because you were like, what's this stupid thing? Why would we try to drop flies somewhere to like eat this particular parasite? Now, boom, the whole cattle industry. Now we're going to have to spend, we were spending like $10 million for that program. Now we're going to have to spend $1 billion cleaning up because of your dumbass. Okay? You guys ruined everything. Turns out you know nothing about governing. Turns out you went in there with a hatchet and ruined everything. And then now the chickens are coming home to roost and you're going, oh, actually, we didn't do anything. We were just looking for fraud. By the way, you didn't find dick. You guys started firing people who you shouldn't have been firing. An actual fraud, you found virtually none of it. Meanwhile, I can find fraud for you. The fucking military-industrial complex, the Pentagon, they can't account for 63% of their money. They can't account for that at all. Okay? Trump wants to give them $1.5 trillion as they're looting, they're pillaging, they're robbing us fucking blind. You know who else is robbing us blind? You. You're robbing us blind. Elon Musk has gotten $38 billion in government contracts, in subsidies, in fucking welfare, as he bemoans government spending on anything else. Any government spending for you, for your kid to eat a meal, for you to make sure you, don't go bankrupt, any of that, he's completely against, and he'll call you a welfare queen. But he gets to get $38 billion to make a dozen rockets that blow up instantly. Okay? What a sick, sick joke this man is. What a sick joke he is. What a total con artist he is.
Many times over with USAID and other organizations, when they said, oh, well, this is going to help, children, or it's going to help some disease eradication or something like that. And then when we ask for any evidence whatsoever, I say, well, please connect us with this group of children so we can talk to them and understand more about their issue. We get nothing.
They didn't put a sick 5-year-old on the phone with Elon who couldn't speak English, therefore they cut off all the funding. This is his actual defense. He had time to think about what he was going to say. This is what he came up with. How humiliating. How embarrassing. How disgusting. By the way, remember, there's a massive Ebola outbreak because this fucking asshole cut the Ebola funding. And then he joked about it behind closed doors. Remember that meeting where he's like, we cut off the Ebola funding, then we realized that was a mistake, and then we reversed it. That was a lie. They didn't reverse it. They still had the Ebola funding cut, and now there was a massive outbreak because of him, just like with the screwworm shit. Jesus Christ.
We don't even try to come up with a show orphan, meaning like this sort of like, well, can we at least see a few kids? Like, where are they? If they're in trouble, we'd like to talk to them and talk to their caregivers. Okay, and then we get something as a response, because it's what we find is an enormous amount of fraud and graft.
You are the fraudster. You are the criminal. You are the one who's robbing American taxpayers, okay? It's not these underfunded program which keep people alive barely, okay? Fuck you. This man belongs in prison. He belongs in prison for life. This man is a disgrace. He's shameful. He's disgusting. He's pathetic. He has blood on his hands, and he is the biggest scammer maybe of all time, only rivaled by Donald J. Trump.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, so we got to talk about this, y'all. As you all know, Tucker Carlson has been very loud and very aggressive over the issue of the Iran war. He says he's against the Iran war. He's also talked quite a bit about Israel, and he's called out, Netanyahu's control over our government and how our government appears to not be sovereign anymore. So he's been going after Zionists quite a bit. And look, take it for what it's worth. Every time he's going after the right targets, good for you. Keep going after those correct targets. Divide and conquer from within that Republican coalition. Call them out, expose them as frauds. It have the effect of taking down this toxic ass group running the country, right? Known as MAGA. But the other day, he was doing an interview, and he came out and said, like, I'm done with the Republican Party. I'm done. I'm out. So, interesting clip. Let's watch, and then I'll break it down further for you. Here we go.
I would not support the Republican Party. There's no chance I would support the Republican Party. I'm not going to support the Democratic Party. I don't know what I'm going to do. But at this point, how could I or any American voter support a political party that's not loyal to the United States, that puts the interests of a foreign country above those of its own citizens? That's it's not possible.
Now, by the way, let me just pause to point out, we know from detailed reporting that Netanyahu tried to run this trick on Bill Clinton, tried to run it on Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and George W. Bush, and Trump. The trick, of course, being, and Hillary even described this, the trick being, hey, I have planes on the tarmac about to go bomb Iran. We have to do it. We have no choice. So come join us with this. Every other U.S. president said, go fuck yourself. This is a sovereign country. Not only am I not helping you bomb Iran, also I am blocking you from bombing Iran. Turn those motherfucking planes off and shut the fuck up. Okay? Every other president said, we're a sovereign country. You don't boss us around, bitch. Stop it. And Netanyahu had to stop it. The only person who was dumb enough to go along with it was fucking Donald J. Trump. So when you do your whole you can't be controlled by a foreign country bit, I got news for you. Everybody else in the political motherfucking conversation is not controlled by another country. Or even if you argue they are, because of Israel lobby money or whatever, they're controlled to a significantly lower degree than your fucking guy who you rode hard for. Okay? So hold this big, fat, juicy L. And I hate the false equivalence. I'm out of the Republican. I could never vote for a Republican, but I could also never vote for a Democrat. Oh, really? Oh, really? So then how about you go to shut the fuck upsville? How about you shove your false equivalence directly up your ass? Because both parties are not the same. One is significantly better than the fucking other. And deep down, you fucking know that, don't you? But he actually does take that position, but in the wrong way. He still is sympathetic to the Republicans, as I'll show you in a second. But let's keep going here. He's not done.
Country above those of its own citizens. That's it's not possible to vote for people like that, and I'm not going to. And I think I voted Republican my entire life. I worked at Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. I've been a consistent defender for 35 years of the Republican Party. I mean, very consistent defender. But there's no defending this because it's immoral. And it's exactly the opposite of what a political party in a democracy is charged with doing, which is representing its own voters, its own citizens, its own nation. And they're not doing that. So, no, I'm out. And if I'm out, then I think a lot of other people are out.
How does he reckon with the fact that it's still the case that about 80% of Republican voters are pro-Israel? How do you reckon with that fact, right? That you are more sympathetic to the Republican Party, but that party is far more beholden to this hostile, evil foreign government that you admit is hostile and evil. Weird, but I rule out the Democratic Party. I'll go with the worst party over and over and over. Please, fucking pathetic. But so he comes out and goes, I'm done with the Republican Party. I'm leaving the Republican Party. This is over. I will never do anything like this again. You can bet on it. You can count on it. Okay. In the same motherfucking interview, he's asked about J.D. Vance. Listen.
What's your take on J.D. Vance? Do you think he is still America first? Because I know you were friends.
I love J.D. Vance.
By the way, J.D. Vance reportedly behind the scenes said to Trump, if you're going to do the Iran thing, go big and go hard. That's what he said. Or go big and go fast. That's what he said. So he was advocating for, no, if you're going to do this, you really got to go aggressively. So Mr. Anti-War, turns out when push came to shove, was like, do a bigger war. Make it a big one. Do that. So I love J.D. Vance. Mr. I'm anti-war. I'm anti-Iran war. I'm anti-Israel. J.D. Vance is a fucking creation of Peter Thiel and the AI tech demons who are coming to take away all of our freedom. Okay? They're spying on everybody. They're creating a blackmail file on everybody. They want all the money and all the power. They're actively trying to usher in end times. He literally cannot shut the fuck up about the Antichrist. He's anti-human in the sense that he wants to make us these weird cyborgs, these AI cyborgs. Oh, I love J.D. Vance. Fuck you.
America first? Because I know you were friends.
I love J.D. Vance.
You do.
I know. Yeah, I know.
You can see the host is like, wait, didn't you just say you left the Republican Party? Oh, but I love this. I love the number 2 in command of the Republican Party. That's who I love. I hate that party. But that number 2 guy, he's fucking awesome.
JD so well, and Vice President Vance, and I've known him since long before he got into politics, and I know his family well, and my wife knows. I mean, I think of him as a friend. I will always think of him as a friend. And
even though he's partaking in one of the worst crimes of all time, as I will admit to you, because it's an illegal and offensive war against a country that didn't attack us, where they bombed hospitals and schools and bridges and power plants. Even though he's partaking in perhaps one of the worst crimes of all time, I'll always love this guy, man. He's my boy.
Ardent advocate for him being vice president, for him getting elected to the Senate. I've always been a big J.D. Vance fan because, and I remain. I think he's in an impossible situation.
The small bean argument. Oh, the small bean, J.D. Vance. Oh, were you dragged along to commit war crimes and atrocities? Oh, I'm sorry. What you do is you step up like a man and you go, I'm out. I'm resigning. I'm done with this shit. Now, if that wasn't clear enough, Tucker Carlson tells Alex Jones he'll support J.D. Vance for president just days after saying he's going to leave the Republican Party. Here we go.
Well, will you support J.D. Vance? I think he's great compared to Rubio.
Obviously, he's great compared to Rubio. Obviously. Look, I'll support the best person. I always have liked J.D. Vance enormously. I think he's really smart. He's in an impossible situation.
By the way, I have never been proven correct so quickly when I told you that Tucker, all of his like anti-Israel, anti-Iran war bit, it all comes to naught because he's going to take all of that energy in the Republican base that he's taking with him and then redirect it right back into supporting J.D. Vance, who also, by the way, are you really going to fall for this motherfucking trick again? This like, oh, sure, we're Republicans and we're right-wingers, but we're anti-war right-wingers. We're pro-worker right-wingers. We're anti-establishment and anti-corruption right-wingers. And then the second you give them a little bit of power, they immediately prove they were lying about all of it. Motherfucking Josh Hawley, same shit. Oh, I'm a populist right-winger. Turns out I'm just like all the rest of them. Turns out I'm pro-corruption, pro-corporate, tax cuts for the rich, tax cuts for billionaires, endless war, pro-Israel. They lied every step of the motherfucking way, and people are still doing the Charlie Brown with the football thing. Oh, maybe this Republican will be different. They're all the motherfucking same. They're all George W. Bush. When will you learn? They are all George W. Bush. They're all fascists. They're all warmongers. They're all Epstein-class insiders. They're all pro-billionaire. They are jokes. They are pathetic. Every single motherfucking one of them. The smoky-eyed sociopath himself. The pudgy boy himself. Okay? The demon queen eyeliner wearing freak himself. That guy, yes, he's just like the rest of them. If anything, he's even more nefarious because he lies, because he's a bullshitter. He'll pretend, oh yeah, I'm with you guys, and then all of a sudden, we go right back into all the same bullshit policies, and here's Tucker Carlson taking all this supposedly anti-war, anti-Israel energy and putting it right back into the pro-war, pro-Israel candidates. Fuck you. Fuck you.
I'll support the best person. I always have liked J.D. Vance enormously. I think he's really smart. He's in an impossible situation. I think he's doing his best. I strongly disapprove of, obviously, as I've said 100 times, of this war and of what.
Oh, I love how Trump and others have been blaming Vance when he's volunteering to go stop it, when internally it's confirmed he tried to stop it just like you did.
Oh, I love this. Oh, I love this. I love this. So a guy who did the war with Trump, a guy who's being sent out there as the sacrificial lamb to be the face of peace, and then peace falls apart and they're right back to the war. Somehow he's the hero, not, oh, I don't know, every single Democrat but one who's been trying to stop this thing. John Fetterman is the only motherfucking Democrat that's for this Iran war. Every other Democrat has voted over and over 10 fucking times to end this war immediately. Not a word of credit, not a word of support from these fat fucks, from these disgusting little bitches. Every Democrat but one has been saying, let's end this war right the fuck now. They never said a fucking kind word about Democrats. But J.D. Vance, who helped launch this war and said, go big and go fast, all of a sudden, he's a hero because he talked to Ghalibaf in person. Yeah, and they all fucking humiliated him and walked away because they said, you're a little bitch and your boss is deciding to threaten us in the middle of these negotiations and you're lying anyway and you're going to go right back to the war anyway, you disgusting fucks. Jesus Christ, man, I hate these people so much. They're such con men. They are such liars. They are such frauds. This is why I tell you, the worst Democrat is better than the best Republican, okay? Don't take my word for it. Go look at their fucking voting record, and you will understand that very quickly. People like Joe Manchin voted 50% of the time with Republicans, 50% of the time with Democrats. Even the best Republican, like Thomas Massie, still votes like over 90% of the time with Trump and Republicans. What a fucking joke. Oh, so on one vote, congratulations. One vote, you were decent. Releasing the Epstein files. Virtually every fucking Democrat supported that too. And you guys give no credit to them. Oh my God, I hate these people so much. Oh, I hate them so much. I'm so sick of the Democrat derangement syndrome. I'm so fucking sick of it. We're all anti-war and we're all anti-Israel. Oh, don't look at the rising tsunami of Democratic candidates who are anti-war and anti-Israel, and forthrightly so, with no weaseliness. Look at the fucking fat sociopath prick who helped get us into this Iran war. Fuck you. Fuck you.
I love how the guy that was right, he's the bad guy now and the war's his fault.
The guy who was right. The guy who said go big and go fast. The guy who didn't resign when Trump decided to start carpet bombing girls' schools in Iran. The guy that was right. Fuck you, Alex Jones. All these people with their Democrat derangement syndrome are the worst of the worst. They're the worst of the worst. They're never going to tell you the full truth. Ever, ever. Do not give credit to these people. You don't have to hand it to ISIS. You don't have to hand it to fucking Tucker Carlson or Alex Jones.
Oh, it's the people who tell the truth who are punished. It's the people who try to do for selfless motives the right thing who are punished. I mean, that's what evil is.
You said God would have to appear to you for you to run for president. So should we all pray that Jesus appear to you and tell you to run for president?
Oh, I don't want to run for president. I do want to be involved in offering an option of some kind.
Yeah, name J.D. Vance.
I don't know what that would look like, but it's not democracy when no matter who you vote for, you get the same result.
Well, good thing you don't. Good thing that's not the case. Good thing that literally every other president not named Donald J. Trump told Netanyahu to go fuck himself when he tried to get them to do a war against Iran. Oh my days, I hate these people so much. God, they're such con men. They are so full of shit. He exposes himself as the biggest fraud in the fucking country. I'm leaving the Republican Party. I'm done with the Republicans. Why would anybody support the Republicans? Yeah, I like J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is kind of cool. You know that number 2 guy in control of the Republican Party who helped launch this fucking war? He's great. I would support him. Fuck you.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So there was a court case decision coming out of Texas, which is really raising eyebrows across the country because it's absolutely devastating for our prospects for the future and for fighting back against this rising tide of MAGA fascism. So look at this. Texas anti-ICE protesters convicted of terrorism charges sentenced to at least 50 years in prison. Activists accused of being part of Antifa get long prison terms in case seen as test of Trump's crackdown on dissent. Now, I'm going to walk you through this here, but suffice to say that this is insane. This is a massive overreach. There's zero evidence they're part of some organized group known as Antifa. And to the extent any of these people should get a hefty sentence, it's literally one of multiple, but all of them got heavy sentences. Okay, here we go. A group of Texas protesters convicted of terrorism charges received unusually harsh sentences of at least 50 years in prison on Tuesday in a closely watched case that was widely seen as a test case of the Trump administration's efforts to crack down on dissent. After a 3-week jury trial, the 9 activists were all found guilty of a slew of criminal charges in March stemming from a 4th of July protest at an immigrant detention facility in Alvarado, Texas, south of Fort Worth. The demonstrators arrived late at night with a plan to set off fireworks as part of a noise demonstration to show solidarity with those detained inside. A few of the protesters spontaneously broke off from the main group and vandalized cars in the parking lot, a guard shack, and slashed tires on a government van and broke a security camera. When a police officer arrived on the scene and drew his weapon, one of the activists fired an AR-15 from the woods, hitting the officer in the shoulder. The officer survived. They continue. Benjamin Song, who fired the gun at the police officer, was sentenced to 100 years in prison. Song was convicted of attempted murder of an officer of the United States, as well as firearm and explosive charges. He was also convicted of riot, providing material support to terrorists. He faced anywhere from 20 years to life in prison. Zachary Evans, Autumn Hill, Savannah Batten, Elizabeth Soto, and Megan Morris were sentenced to 50 years in prison. Maricela Rueda, another demonstrator, was sentenced to 70 years in prison. All 6 were convicted of riot, providing material support to terrorists, and explosive charges. Rueda was also convicted of corruptly concealing a document or record. Evans, Hill, Morris, and Rueda were acquitted on attempted murder and firearms charges. The sentences handed down on Tuesday were unusually long, said Barbara McQuaid, a former federal prosecutor who served as the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan during the Obama administration. Most often, judges will sentence defendants for separate counts concurrently. Here it appears that the judges stack the sentences for each count consecutively. I would have expected lengthy sentences here, more in the ballpark of 15 to 25 years, but nothing like 50 to 100 years. The Trump administration praised the sentences. Quote, the sentences handed down today make clear that Antifa terrorists, again, they totally made that up, who attack law enforcement and federal facilities will face swift and uncompromising justice. Literally, only one of them shot at an officer, and the officer pulled first, as described in this article. Todd Blanche, the acting attorney general, said in a statement, their violent extremism has no place in our country, and the Department of Justice will continue to aggressively investigate, disrupt, and prosecute those who threaten law enforcement officers or undermine the rule of law. In a statement, Song said he had fired at the police officer, Lieutenant Thomas Gross, because Gross had his weapon drawn and Song believed he was about to shoot a protester. I never want to see good people standing for what they believe in gunned down in the street, he said. Now, 21 people have been arrested, have been persecuted, have been punished for knowing me or being my friend. This is wrong. This is mass punishment, collective punishment. This is guilt by association. This is injustice. Evans, a mechanical engineer, said in court on Tuesday the intent of the fireworks was solely to get the attention of people held inside the detention center. He intends to appeal his conviction and sentence, said Patrick McLean, one of his lawyers. As the witnesses at the sentencing hearing stated, Zach has always been a caring and compassionate man, an accomplished mechanical engineer with no history of trouble with the law or violence. Quite the opposite, he has been a man of peace, who has stood up for those bullied or afflicted, McLean said. Zach continues to give compassionate help in the jail as a detainee, and as we expect, that will continue until he is one day cleared of his wrongful conviction by appeal or pardon. The sentences were absurd, said Amber Lowry, Batten's sister. This case had relied on lies and misinformation from the start. It is heartbreaking nonetheless. We will keep fighting to overturn these unjust convictions and to free Savannah and all the Prairie Land defendants. We will not rest until they are free. The punishment for the protesters exceeds the lengthiest prison sentences given out for the attack on the Capitol on January 6th. Enrique Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys, who was convicted of seditious conspiracy, was sentenced to 22 years in prison. Stuart Rose, the leader of far-right group the Oath Keepers, was sentenced to 18 years in prison. By the way, a lot of these people assaulted cops, got less of a sentence than these people. Even though many of the protesters did not know each other or were loosely affiliated, prosecutors said the attack on the officer was premeditated and part of a conspiracy. They also said the activists were part of North Texas Antifa Cell, which was seen as part of the administration's effort to criminalize Antifa, which is not an organization but rather a constellation of left-wing views. During the trial, prosecutors displayed group messages from some of the defendants in which they planned the protest and discussed bringing firearms and dressing in all black to prevent themselves from being easily identified. But some of the defendants, like Batten, Elizabeth Soto, and her husband, Inez Soto, were not involved in the planning, arrived separately at the protest and left when guards at the facility asked them to do so. Morris stayed in a van. Many of the protesters had carpooled in with a cache of weapons and body armor while the protest was ongoing. She later fled from the police when they arrived on scene. She was ultimately arrested after a traffic stop that night. Prosecutors in the case charged and secured conviction of 8 of the 9 defendants for providing material support for terrorists. The 9th defendant, Daniel Sanchez Estrada, was not at the protest but was convicted of corruptly concealing a document or record after prosecutors said he moved left-wing signs and other materials at the request of Rueda, his wife, after she was arrested. Sanchez Estrada was sentenced to 30 years in prison on Tuesday. So a sign is like, it's like a document that has your views on it, right? Your political views on it, and like anti-ICE stuff. And they're saying that this person got decades in prison for passing that out. That's an insane violation of the First Amendment. That's ridiculous. I worked really hard every day in this country, and I believe in human rights and helping others in need. I donate money and art to help animals and other people. I'm a father, husband, and a teacher, but I'm not a terrorist, Sanchez Estrada said in court before his sentencing. Although the charge does not require prosecutors to prove a connection to any kind of terrorist ideology, only that the defendant provided support for one of a list of several crimes, the Justice Department spun the convictions as proof that Antifa was a terrorist organization. Oh my days. The defendants in the case are a collection of activists who were loosely affiliated with one another through a local left-wing book club and gun group. During the trial, prosecutors highlighted many of the designs that the book club read as evidence of the conspiracy and ideology that linked the demonstrators. The evidence was met with widespread criticism from legal observers who said that it amounted to criminalizing freedom of speech. No shit. Prosecutors also heavily focused on the cache of guns that many of the defendants owned and some brought to the detention center on the 4th of July. By the way, this is what you guys say you love. You love the Second Amendment. You love, the freedom and the right to carry a gun. They're just doing that, but the crime is being left-wing. Let's call it what it is. It is undisputed that all of the firearms were brought legally, and there was only one person who fired a weapon on the 4th of July. Prosecutors also highlighted other evidence they claim proved that the protesters planned violence, including their decision to communicate and delete messages on Signal, an encrypted messaging platform widely used among activists, journalists, and other citizens wary of government surveillance. How is that illegal? Since the charges in the case, the government has brought a number of similar prosecutions against activists. Earlier this month, prosecutors filed criminal conspiracy charges against 15 activists in Minneapolis who allegedly interfered with Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents in performing their duties. A federal jury in Spokane, Washington, found 3 protesters guilty of conspiracy for participating in a 2025 protest at an ICE facility. A similar case in Chicago against protesters fell apart after it was revealed there was misconduct before grand jurors. So this is insane. And just to brush you up on this real quick, horrifying weaponization of the criminal legal system. Nobody died. All guns were owned legally, and only one of the 9 defendants fired a weapon. 3 weren't even involved in the planning and left when guards told them to. 1 didn't even attend and got 30 years for moving these pamphlets. Insane, bro. Insane. The only argument you could even make, the only serious argument you can make, is that the one person who fired a weapon, who hit the shoulder of an officer, nominally after the officer pulled the gun first, and he was like defending himself and his friends, right? But the only stretch of the case you can make is that one guy deserves some semblance of a sentence, right? If the jury doesn't buy that he was acting defensively, okay? Or if the judge doesn't buy that he was acting defensively. But literally everybody else committed no crime whatsoever, like not even close. You carried firearms perfectly legal, especially in Texas. You let off some fireworks on July 4th, okay? Maybe you can make a stretch for some minor, fines, misdemeanor thing, maybe the tiniest amount of time in jail for the people who did the property damage and slashed the tires or whatever. But even that, I would be against that just because, let's call it what it is. These people are actually trying to fix the country. They're trying to shut down concentration camps. They're trying to free innocent people. They're standing up against a criminal thug agency that's not even a real agency. It's basically like a paramilitary. It's, packed full of criminals and fascists and assholes. So, I wouldn't give I wouldn't give those people any time, but I could see a jury or a judge saying, yeah, if you slashed the tires or broke the security camera, yeah, whatever, you might get a week in jail or something like that. I could see that. But no, the majority of these people literally weren't even close to committing a crime. Not even close. Passing out signs, fucking... just letting off some fireworks, carrying a gun. A lot of these people left when the cop said, you gotta go. And now they're getting decades in prison? No. Understand something. This is a direct assault on free speech. This is a direct assault on your constitutional rights. This is a direct assault on a fair criminal justice system. The fascists are doing the whole fascist thing here. That's what this is. These better be appealed. These better be overturned. And by the way, I'm going to say this right now. Any Democrat for 2028 should have to pledge, I'm going to free all these people. I'm going to free all of them. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to free every last motherfucking one of them. I'm going to free. Because if Donald Trump can free all of the January 6th actual terrorists and insurrectionists, the people who assaulted cops, the people who got out and immediately started molesting kids and shit like that, the people who got out and started drunk driving and killing innocent people, if he can pardon actual criminals committing actual crimes, you can pardon non-criminals who are falsely accused of being criminals. Okay? So free these people, man. Free these people. This is fucked up, and it's a classic example of where we are, that the justice system and the judicial branch have also been co-opted by the fascists, by the MAGA freaks. And we see what you're doing here. We know what you're doing here. You're trying to criminalize any and all dissent. And so my heart goes out to anybody who's out there on the street doing the hard work, you know, criticizing it or protesting at Delaney Hall in New Jersey right now, as, you know, they're basically they're doing a hunger strike because the conditions in that ICE concentration camp are the most abysmal thing you've ever seen. Moldy food, worms in the food, packed cells, people not getting their medicine, people dying, and you got people protesting it. Now you're walking on thin ice because you're going, is just my presence here going to lead to some bogus, mucked up charges? Well, the answer is maybe. The answer is maybe. So we have to fight back against this, or we do not have a free country.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, guys, so we have some major breaking news that came out yesterday, and I have to walk you through this here. So this is in Responsible Statecraft. They say the following. On the 10th attempt, the Senate voted to stop the Iran war. War powers measure first approved by the House is binding on the president and directs him to cease hostilities against Iran, says top House Democrat. So there's a huge deal. Congress has now officially gotten through a rebuke of the Iran war, effectively saying, you got to wrap this bitch up. It's done. It's over. You don't have congressional approval anymore. You're donezo here. It's a wrap. Now, by the way, let me just say real quick, the way the system has been working is wildly unconstitutional. Namely, the U.S. president will just do a war, like start attacking, start doing a war, and then they turn around and go, oh, okay, if you want to stop me, you need to vote to block me. But that's not how it works. The way it's supposed to work is the president cannot do a war unless and until Congress approves it first. So they kind of flipped the burden of proof here and made it so that the president gets to act first, and then you have to try to stop him later, right? So that's already not how it's supposed to work, but that is what we've allowed the president to do in this psychotic, backwards, fascist-ass system. Well, now, even given the new rules that they say there are, that, oh, well, you'd have to block me. Well, now the Senate went, okay, we block you. So it'll be very interesting because what'll happen now is it'll go to court, and if the courts are remotely honest, it is very clear that he would have to stop this war immediately. You now do not have the backing of Congress at all, and this would be something that is very easily impeachable. This would be something that's beyond impeachable, in my opinion. I think it would be criminal, where when Trump's no longer in office, you could fucking arrest him for doing a literal illegal war. All right, let's continue here. So they say, after 10 attempts, the Senate finally voted on Tuesday to block President Donald Trump from resuming the war with Iran without congressional approval. 4 Republicans, so Bill Cassidy, who Trump just got ousted, Susan Collins, who is scared to death of fucking Graham Plattner beating her, which he's going to do, Lisa Murkowski, and Rand Paul, the more libertarian-leaning senator, joined all but one Democrat in supporting the concurrent resolution, which was passed by the House of Representatives earlier this month. So I'll give you one guess who that one Democrat is who sided with Trump. It's the brain-damaged one. It's the one who had a stroke and turned into a terrorist. It's that one. It's fucking dumbass John Fetterman. But every Democrat except John Fetterman voted the right way. And then Trump ended up shooting himself in his little tiny mushroom dick here because you went after Bill Cassidy. Now Bill Cassidy's like, I'm going to get you back now, bitch. So Bill Cassidy was like, I could vote against the Iran war. Watch this. And he did. And so because of all the Democrats but one holding steady, and because of 4 Republicans flipping, now we are where we are. And the Senate and the House have effectively blocked it and said, we're not continuing with this war anymore. This war is done. This war is over. You have to withdraw, and you have to withdraw immediately. Republican Senators Dave McCormick of Pennsylvania and Mitch McConnell of Kentucky missed the vote. By the way, people are speculating Mitch McConnell's like dead, allowing it to pass by a 50-48 tally. This was the 10th War Powers vote to come before the chamber, and the only one to pass. A concurrent resolution does not go to a president's desk for signature or veto, but the War Powers Resolution of 1973 directs that U.S. forces shall be removed by the president if the Congress so directs by concurrent resolution. So this is what I mean when I say this is different than what we've seen to this point, because this is going to go to court. Trump's going to try to stop it and go to court, and the courts are going to go, I don't know, man. Yeah, you know, even if they want to try to bias it in favor of Trump, I don't know if they'll be able to do it for this very simple reason. This is very direct language. It literally doesn't go to the president's desk for a signature or a veto. And it says in the War Powers Resolution of 1973 that U.S. forces shall be removed by the president if Congress directs the president to do it under this. And they did. So I don't know. He's kind of caught here. It's kind of starting to feel like when the judge said, hey, you got to take your name off the Kennedy Center. You can't just like fucking declare you want your name on there and then do it. And then like they actually ordered the people to take it down. And it actually happened. Because we're so used to Trump getting away with shit. That was an example of like, no, he was blocked, and then they actually did block him, and that was amazing. So hopefully we're looking at a similar thing here. This marks the first time that both the House and the Senate have approved a concurrent resolution related to war powers. Following the vote, Representative Greg Meeks, the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, wrote in a statement that the measure is binding on the president and directs him to cease hostilities against Iran. The question of whether such a resolution is legally binding has not been adjudicated in the courts, but as journalist David Sirota wrote when the House version was approved, lawmakers could have standing to go to court to request the judiciary enforce the measure. If the Senate were to pass the legislation, it's unclear, and they did. It's unclear if Democrats will choose to pursue a legal battle amid the recent memorandum of understanding and ongoing negotiations between the United States and Iran, but Khanna told Sirota in early June that he would work with the House counsel to urge leadership to bring a court case to enforce the Iran powers resolution. Now, by the way, let me just say right now, you better take it to court immediately. If they don't take it to court immediately, that is corporate Democrats going full diet MAGA, low-key secretly agreeing with Trump's war and trying to not enforce this. That's what that would be, for sure. Because the memorandum of understanding is already on baby deer legs. It's already fallen apart multiple times. It's like they're trying to revive it, but I don't even know if that's working. And so to just rely on their negotiation tactics and their goodwill is insane. No, you got to force them. In his statement, Meeks also said that he would explore all legal avenues to ensure the executive complies with the will of Congress. While some Democrats have criticized Trump's diplomatic agreement with Tehran, even suggesting they would find ways to kill it, every Democratic senator but John Fetterman voted to block the president from re-engaging in hostilities. Trump and Netanyahu's Iran war has been a disaster from the start, Senator Chris Van Hollen wrote on X. The question now is not whether the deal to end this war is perfect, but whether continuing the war would make things better. It would not. So this is a huge deal, bro. This is a huge deal, and this is not being talked about nearly enough. Everybody should be talking about this. Basically, this is Congress finally standing up and asserting themselves and saying, fuck you, fuck your illegal war against Iran, get the fuck out right now. I don't think it's a coincidence that this is happening at the same time a poll came out with Trump's approval rating at 30%. In fact, I think those things are linked. And also, Trump has now racked up so many enemies, so many ops, that he's undermining his own case. Like when you decided to go after Bill Cassidy, then, you were begging for this. You were begging for, one of these Republicans to finally grow a pair of nuts and go, okay, well, now just for petty reasons, I'm going to be against you on shit. And for petty reasons, he was like, I'm against this Iran war. Because I think in his heart of hearts, he's in favor of continuing the war. But he's like, I just want to get this guy back for the fact that he ruined my career. So here we go, bro. Here we go. The chickens are coming home to roost. It's looking like lame duck type shit. And all I have to say is don't stop. On every single front, you got to push back against this guy. And the fact of the matter is this war should have never happened in the first place. It was an illegal war of aggression against a country that didn't attack us. They agreed to strict controls, zero enriched uranium hours before we attacked them. We're basically doing Netanyahu's bidding here. We're effectively trying to turn Iran into a failed state so Israel can dominate the region. We wasted billions of dollars. At least 13 Americans were killed. Thousands of Americans were injured. Thousands of Iranians are dead. We bombed schools and hospitals and bridges and all sorts of civilian infrastructure. Truth be told, the people who did this war should be in prison. They should be locked up. This is absolutely positively unacceptable. It's nice to have a little bit of justice finally, but they better follow through.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So Zohran Mamdani, as all of you know, simply put, cannot stop winning. This guy is next level with it, bro. I mean, he hasn't even been in office that long. He's beloved by the people of New York City. He cracked down on shitty landlords. He ordered a deep cleaning of the subway. He was so good handling that winter storm, even Republicans were giving him credit. He got Hochul on board for universal child care. He's freezing the rent. He's taxing the rich. He's doing his thing, man. He's doing his thing, and he's a great reminder that shit doesn't have to suck. That if you have politicians who actually want to make things better and know how to use the levers of power, you can just make things better. And he is. And he's doing it. The speech he gave at the New York Knicks parade the other day was fucking phenomenal. He's clearly a fan and has been a fan. Well, he, of course, went all in backing the slate of Democratic Socialist candidates. They won. They swept. He's now a kingmaker in the Democratic Party, regardless of the fact that centrists want to pretend like that's not the case and shove their head in the sand. Well, he was called out here by a reporter for basically shitting on AIPAC, for calling out AIPAC as the nefarious influence that they are in our politics, how they send a bunch of dark money into the system, prop up shitty candidates who are pro-genocide. And here he's going to be asked by a reporter, basically a smear question as like, how is this not anti-Semitic? Listen to how he handles this.
Some members of the Jewish community, including Democratic Congressman Josh Gottheimer, were alarmed by the language he used at the rally last week, calling AIPAC monsters who move dark money. These are phrases that invoke old anti-Semitic tropes and conspiracy theories. What do you say to those who are concerned that the language you used is dangerous?
Now, let me just interject real quick to say, it is insane to imply, if not outright say, that criticizing the Israel lobby is the same as criticizing Jews as people. No, you know who else has deep criticism of the Israel lobby? Jews, American Jews. Okay, in fact, these districts have a lot of American Jews, and they overwhelmingly voted for the anti-Zionist candidates, for the anti-AIPAC candidates. What Gottheimer is trying to do is disgusting. He's trying to conflate being pro-Israel with being Jewish. And by that logic, if you criticize Israel, you are criticizing Jews and you're an anti-Semite. It's a trick. It's a dirty trick, and it doesn't work anymore. Here's Zohran's reaction. Prepare yourself.
That the language you used is dangerous.
Now, I want to be very clear. We're talking about a status quo where children are being killed on a daily basis. More than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by the Israeli military since the so-called ceasefire. Even an Al Jazeera journalist, Ahmed Wishah, was killed this past Saturday by an Israeli strike. And when I am speaking about AIPAC, I'm speaking about an organization that has been supportive of the status quo, that has fought any attempt to actually deliver safety to people, not just in Palestine, but frankly, through much of the region. And it is a status quo for immorality. It is one that I will not accept. And when it comes to the way in which they defend the status quo, oftentimes they defend it through direct contributions, as we are seeing right now in New York 13. Oftentimes they also support the status quo through dark money, by filtering money that would have previously been directly from AIPAC, now through other shell organizations whose identities of their contributors are only made clear after an election. And I think that it is important that when we ask ourselves how such death and destruction is happening overseas, we also name those who allow it to take place.
Sorry, we're going to go.
Bro's got people clapping for his answer at a random press conference. I'm not sure I've ever seen that before. People are so fed up, bro. They are so fed up with the bullshit, false cries of anti-Semitism. Ironically, they are the ones feeding anti-Semitism. The Josh Gottheimers of the world are the ones feeding anti-Semitism. I mean, it is insane. By the way, now their dodge is, oh, he brought up that Israel killed a journalist recently, an Al Jazeera journalist. Well, we say that was a Hamas sniper. Oh my God, they're literally doing the thing. Like, they're doing the thing. Guys, Israel has killed over 250 journalists in Gaza. Over 250. Were all of them Hamas snipers? Is that what that was? Now, they would be like, yeah, but they're lying and they know they're lying. They know they're full of shit. They know they're lying. They know it's bullshit. We're done playing around with you. We don't like you. We want no relationship with you. We view you as the enemy because you are the enemy. If you're pro-genocide, that's not just one area of disagreement. That is, you are immoral. You are unethical. You are evil. That's evil. You can't say like Dan Goldman, I'm progressive on all these things except on this one issue, I'm a fascist. Because then people go, okay, I'll take somebody who's not a fascist. Thank you very much. So it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore. And everybody knows the Israel lobby and their dirty tricks and what they try to get away with. And now we have you nailed. And instead of responding rationally, because you can't, you go right back to the old bag of tricks and go, well, you must just hate all Jews. Fuck off. Fuck right off forever with the power of 1,000 dicks, okay? But I'm not done, though, because I wanted to show you this as well. The guy can't stop winning. Zohran Mamdani signs executive order to protect New York City workers from extreme heat. Over 500 New Yorkers die from extreme heat each year. Imagine having a leader who presses the big red make everything better button I'm stealing this. I'm stealing the vibe of it from a post I saw on Twitter. It's like the mayor of New York City has a big button on the desk that says "Make things better," and he just presses it all the time. Like, yeah, let's make things better. Let's make things better. All the other mayors are like, "Fuck that button. I want that button removed from my office." He's like, "How about I just keep pressing that button?" Remember when he put the Knicks playoffs games and finals game on like these screens all across the city? He just made the decision, like, yeah, let's just play it on the screens that we have. And people were like, "Oh shit, you can do that?" Yeah, it turns out he's the mayor, do whatever the fuck he wants. And he's doing a lot of good shit. He just does good shit. It's amazing. And that's why he now has tremendous political capital. And he's cashing that bitch in. And he's not going to stop. He is not going to stop. And guys, I love to see that as Bernie gets up there in age, we're now getting to a point where there's an heir apparent. There's somebody who we look at as like, here's a moral voice. Here's a leader. And it's nice to have that as sort of like an anchor for the left-wing movement in this country. We felt sort of rudderless for a while, especially after Bernie's second loss. It felt like, well, is he the leader? He kind of is the leader. But like, he's up there in age, so we kind of need a new one. And people thought maybe AOC. But Zohran is even more aggressive. Zohran takes even more risks. Zohran was backing Democratic Socialist candidates who Bernie and AOC were too afraid to endorse. They thought it was too much of a risk. They thought they would lose. Zohran said, fuck it, I'm going to back him. And they won. So it's a huge fucking deal. Anyway, go ahead, keep trying to smear us, keep trying to fucking get away with your dirty tricks. They no longer work. They're just like when the Republicans now look at us and go, you guys are so extreme. You're the left-wing Tea Party. You're going to make it easier for us to win in 2028, or 2026. No, we're not. You're actually going to lose by bigger margins now. They think they got this shit on lock, right? Because they go, Democratic Socialists will destroy you. Oh, will you? Party of rape and pedophilia and terrorism, will you? You're going to say somebody's extreme and they're going to buy it when your whole party is packed full of extremists? There are no moderates in your party? Fuck right off. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. So what is going to happen is we're going to win. And we're going to win by bigger margins now because Democratic Socialists actually stand for stuff. They stand for taxing the rich. They stand for universal health care. They stand for ending the wars. They stand for cutting off funding to Israel. They stand for all popular shit. And so the Republicans are not going to know what hit them. The difference between our Tea Party and their Tea Party is their Tea Party sucked and was packed full of a bunch of jackasses. Our Tea Party is good and is filled with intelligent people who want to actually fix this country. That's the difference.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You want to.
All right, y'all. So I don't think you need me to tell you this, but Trump has completely and utterly fucked the reflecting pool situation. And he knows it, and that's why he's panicking. He's crashing out. He's losing his mind. He's trying to point his finger at everybody else and, pretend like it's vandalism. No, you hired a fucking fat mobster to have a no-bid contract to fix everything, and it turns out he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. He ruined it. The paint's peeling. The algae is fucking growing. Now they put AI cameras in the area to try to prevent people from putting their hand in. You put your hand into the water as a tourist, they arrest you immediately. You rape kids on Epstein Island, you're free to go. That's where we are now. This is how out of whack this regime is. So Trump comes out on Lie Social and says the following. 6 people have been arrested and 7 people have been cited for the damage they did to our country's now beautiful reflecting pool. The 350-foot gash made by a very sharp knife or razors is actually numerous slashes over a very long 350-foot length. It was purposefully and criminally done, and somebody had to work very hard, probably in the dark of night, to create such a condition. Likewise, the small area at the bottom of the pool was cut and powerfully lifted off the surface, leaving very jagged, uneven edges. The large areas of grass are being replaced. In any event, even prior to fixing those areas, the reflecting pool is as beautiful as it can be. We will drain some of the water, either immediately before or after the 4th of July, to do the permanent repair. President Donald J. Trump, literally every word of this is complete cope. There was no vandalism. There were no knives. There were no razors. There were no gashes. You hired a fucking con man to do the job. You expected at least a semi-reasonable job done by them. It wasn't that. The reason why you picked this guy is because you're corrupt and you were skimming off the top, and he was going to allow you to skim off the top, right? Well, turns out you picked an incompetent asshole because everything you touch turns to shit, and here we are. And so now in order to get out of this, you're arresting random people, blaming random people, acting like, oh, this wasn't us, it's out of our hands. No, it 100% is on you. He also said, in describing the vandalism that took place at the reflecting pool in Washington, D.C., ABC Fake News, one of the worst in the business, even paying me $16 million for past bad and inaccurate reporting, failed to report that their close friends, Democrats Obama and Biden, spent over $100 million on the reflecting pool, and it never worked. In fact, it was rarely open due to leaks and stench. They wanted to spend $300 to $400 million, but let it rot. I spent approximately $16 million, and it came out great. By the way, all this is made up, except for the vandalism, which we are now fixing. It was also a much bigger job than originally envisioned, including the outer areas and sidewalks. We are preparing lawsuits against ABC for false reporting. I like their money, which will be given to the U.S. Treasury. So yet again, he's suing media outlets for telling the truth. He's suing media outlets for making him look bad because he is bad. You know he's full of shit because he keeps repeating it. And he's the power repetition guy. He knows, oh, vandalism. He keeps saying that so that the idiots in the MAGA cult go, well, I heard it was vandalism. It's not vandalism. He's a fucking jackass. He hired somebody who's a con man so he could skim off the top, and we are where we are now. By the way, the name of the company that he hired, run by the mobster-looking prick, Green Water is what it's called. You actually cannot make this shit up. You can't make it up. Okay, ready? TMZ says, pool experts say Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool damage wasn't vandalism. Oh, really? By the way, you know that it's peeling, like, even by the edges. So Trump's making it seem like somebody went and took a knife and did a gash all through the middle, right? And the reality is the stuff is peeling even by the edges. So how would the gash lead to that? No, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. So TMZ went to talk to experts, and they were like, this is not fucking vandalism. This is just a piss poor job. All right, ready? There's always a tweet, there's always a video, there's always a comment of Trump, which makes him look like the biggest douchebag on earth. So now he's going around, I can't believe they took a knife and they cut everything. They just cut everything. Here he is on May 4th, not that long ago. Listen to what he said back then.
This will last for at least 50 years, and you'll never have a leak. It's very strong. You couldn't, if you had a knife, I don't want to give anybody ideas. If you had a knife, you can't even cut it. So,
come on, son. Oh my days. Oh no. Literally on camera going, even if you wanted to cut it with a knife, you couldn't because it's done so well. Fast forward to today. Can you believe they're cutting it with a knife? They're cutting it with a knife.
Strong, so powerful, like powerful rubber.
Are the contractors who did the initial work with the reflecting pool, are they to blame for the current condition, or is it
No,
the vandals?
we had vandalism. No, vandals. You know, we have 100, and we have I think 290, 300-foot slit right through it, probably a box cutter or a knife of some kind.
National Guard employees have been all over the mall. How would these vandals have gotten so close to do something like that? Do you have any proof of this?
I mean, we didn't have a lot of them then. Who would think that somebody would go into a pool and take a knife and start cutting it?
Do you have proof of that? That they
Yeah,
used the
we
knife?
have
You have
proof.
photos or videos?
Well, let's put it this way. When you have a 350, I think it's 350, not 250, a 350-foot slit from one end to the other, you think that's proof? You think that's
The
proof?
reporters have been down there today looking for that slit that you mentioned. And
Well,
there's no evidence.
all you'd have to do is see the parts department. They'll show it to you. Or see the secretary. But I saw it. They cut it. They cut it very violently.
By the way, like, and that reporter's doing a half decent job just following up. Like, really, that's not true. I don't think that's true at all. I think what you're saying doesn't make sense. I think it doesn't add up. There's no evidence of that. How much better off would we be if everybody around Trump was willing to actually stand up to him? Because most of the people in this press pool are just gargling his nuts on a daily basis, y'all. They are taking him to Slurp City, population of 1. That's what they're doing. So we need the media to be more aggressive. MS Now spoke to some people by the reflecting pool. Listen to this.
The pool was perfectly fine. We wasted all this money to, I guess, make it better, but it's not better.
It's a crazy scene. What a waste. I've been riding by this reflecting pool for decades.
I just can't believe that we are spending our money this way when there are so many higher priorities: healthcare, childcare, closing the budget deficit. I mean, there's a million places we could spend this money.
We have tremendous amount of need in the country currently, whether you call it affordability or just the ability to pay your bills.
It's everybody, bro. Everybody they talk to are like, why the fuck? What are we doing here? Enough with the vanity projects. Enough with the fucking reflecting pool. Enough with the Kennedy Center. Enough with the Epstein Memorial Ballroom. Enough with the Arc de Trump. Enough with putting your fucking face on Mount Rushmore. Enough with naming airports after yourself. Can you please stop with the self-suck-off session, you bitch? Okay? Why don't you lower gas prices? Why don't you lower grocery prices? Why don't you fund healthcare and childcare? Fuck you. Americans are fed up. They're fed up. And then finally, I have to show you this. This is how cooked the Republicans are. This is how cooked what remains of the MAGA movement is. I've never seen such a low IQ movement in my life. This is out of this world. But here's Juanita Broderick sharing this. FBI just raided an Antifa storage unit in D.C. and uncovered a full fucking chemical weapons lab, 6 different kinds of aggressive algae, 5 paint-stripping peptides. And you can see here, the FBI raided a storage unit in D.C. Antifa. And you see, like, basically it just looks like fucking, Kool-Aid, high C. It's probably some AI-generated ass picture. And Juanita Broderick says, holy shit, the left are fucking nuts. Yes, Juanita, it is the left who are fucking nuts. It's not you falling for the most obvious joke of all time, the most obvious satire of all time. These people walk among us, y'all. Damien Toll says, millions of people around you believe everything they read that confirms their paranoid delusions, no matter how absurd. Yes, Antifa supercells are walking around with little baggies that have algae water in it and slowly and low-key pouring it into the reflecting pool simply to own Trump. It's not that you follow a war criminal, pedophile, rapist, con man, terrorist, loser who fucks everything up that he touches, even though all the evidence indicates that. Can't be that. No, definitely not that. Oh my days, man. What the fuck? This movement is sick. It's pathetic. They're just packed full of the worst losers you've ever seen in your life. The dumbest people you've ever seen in your life. Every single one of them. Marks. Through and through. All right, y'all. There you have it. That's the show. I love y'all very much. As always, you guys know the drill, man. Subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon. You can also support the show on Patreon. Sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack and go sub to Corin's World. I love you all. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Peace out.
Hey, y'all. Do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to. All right, y'all, this is crazy and absolutely horrifying, but we just got word that there were 2 colossal earthquakes that hit Venezuela. So this morning, we had a 5.6 that hit California. Then we had, in the afternoon, 7.2 hit Venezuela and a 7.5 hit Venezuela. That is catastrophic, as you're about to see. Also, Japan got hit by a 6.9. So I'm no expert on this stuff, but that seems bad that these are popping off all over the place at once. But they're saying that the death toll looks like it can be anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000. So really not good. I mean, people were saying the worst since Turkey in 2023. I'm, of course, having flashbacks to Haiti now. So I feel horrible for the people in Venezuela. Search and rescue is underway right now. This comes on the heels of Donald Trump kidnapping their president, stealing their gold, stealing their oil, selling it on the open marketplace, keeping the money for himself, not even joking about that. So horrible, horrible scenario. Here's a bunch of terrifying videos that we're seeing coming out of Venezuela. Take a look.
Ya. Ya, por. Afuera que tenemos. No sale de allá. Hermano, no. Fuera más peligroso, hermano. Por allá. Señores.
Mierda, weón. Yo acabo subiendo el ascensor.
LVP mantuvieron el ritmo y llegaron en condiciones, bueno, idóneas. Mantuvieron condiciones idóneas para estar en el estadio, ¿no?
Siempre se ve algo por primera vez.
Bueno.
Y nosotros estamos viviendo.
Tenemos patria, no joda. ¡Qué locura! Oye, la gente no daña en esto.
Mira los delfines, mira. Sí, mira cómo se cayeron todas las paredes del frente. Marico, esto es muy impresionante, mira esto.
Guaira. Toda la avenida del ejército, destruida, terremoto. Terremoto en La Guaira. Miren, la de Yasmina, la Palmató, farmacias destruidas. Destruyó todo.
Este se vino abajo. Y hay un incendio grande.
Ah, huevona.
Temblando. Un momento. Fuerte temblor. La iglesia se cae. Fuerte temblor. Y en este momento en San Joaquín, estado Carabobo. Fuerte temblor. En este momento, iglesia de Nuestra Señora del Carmen.